sound of beer can opening. 3, 2, 1. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Monday night episode of Late Night Comics, joined by your two foolish, I don't know what you call us, crazy people, YouTubers hanging out at night talking about comics to a crowd of yahoos like yourself.
A farmer and a communist, right? 'Cause you live in Commuland.
Just because I live in Commieland doesn't make me a communist.
You haven't moved.
I'm in the secret underground resistance.
Go, go back to Colorado. You're safer.
I don't know, man. Colorado's turning wacko since I left. Uh, but
It's
anyways,
only
we're
us.
here.
Yeah.
We are here, and it's a Monday night. Everyone's excited. We're gonna be talking about some comics tonight, including a comic by a person I thought I would never read again at one point, and
Yeah, the Samurai
made me read
Doggy
it.
book.
And let's go ahead and some people. We got people still strolling in the chat, but welcome to those who are here. Ethereal Dragon is first. Like, wow, thanks. Every week it's like a different person. We got a comic frog hanging out. HR's here, a Maranya, and we also got an evil black cat from the other side of the world.
And
So,
also, happy birthday to Theo Dragon. Says he just turned 44 minutes ago.
oh, well, happy birthday! It's all downhill from here, buddy. So, welcome.
You thought you had back pain when you're in your mid-30s? Wait, till hit the mid-40s.
Oh, phew. Let me just tell you, I'm gonna hit 50 this year, and I'm just
And
shoot
then
me
and
now.
then and then when you're in 50s, you get your knee pain and you forget about the back pain.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Marani says she's just stopping in to catch this stream on the rewind. What? Popping in to say hi. I'll catch the stream on the rewind. I hope it goes well. Oh, she's not gonna hang out
Yeah,
with us.
she's going to bed.
I see
She's
how it
got she
is.
got to go to bed at a timely manner because remember she hosts RPGs now after on Tuesday nights.
Well, that's true. I guess that's
So she
true.
is.
She's got other better things to do than hang out with two yahoos like us. Evil Black Cat
At
says
least,
that we're dumb and dumber.
so you're saying there's a chance you might stick around and watch this then?
It's possible. It's very possible.
Pretty birdie.
Uh, um, you ever been so tired that you're like passing out in your chair or something, and so you're like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm gonna
that
go
was.
actually go to bed, and then you like go and lay down in bed and you can't fall asleep.
I was gonna say that was me passing out over on Ustream tonight towards the end.
That happened to me the other day. I was so tired, I'm just like sitting up, and I hadn't gotten much sleep, so I mean, it made sense to me why I was so tired. But I was just trying to fight through it, and sometimes when you're active, you can get through tired. But if you're just sitting at a desk, that it'll take you over. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go take a nap. So I shut everything down and go lie down in bed, and then for like 2 hours, like doing stuff on my phone. Like I just couldn't fall asleep. It was so weird that I ended up getting up. I don't know if anyone's ever had that experience. So, but if you have, it's pretty crazy. Austin wants to know which one of us is dumb and which is the dumber.
Well, I'm still paying $5 for DC comic books. I might be the dumber one. I don't know.
Such a good
if I
response.
if I didn't have the YouTube channel, if I wasn't doing that thing with Zach, I
Uh,
literally would not be buying books. I'd read them all online.
oh,
I was thinking
that's
about that. I was like, Zach's cutting back on his books to show up. I'm thinking like, man, if I start cutting back on my books, there'll be nothing to show on the channel.
Zach. Zach says he turns 35 in 12 days. He's such a
Yeah,
baby. Such a little
yeah,
baby.
yeah. I'm 16 days.
Wow.
But I'm not turning 35. I'm turning 38.
Uh-oh. You're getting close.
I know, right?
You're getting
But I told
close.
Zach I'm probably just gonna turn 34.
Oh, there you go.
I'll just choose a number.
Uh, well, so what have you been up to as far as the world of comics and pop culture goes?
I I did discover a comic book. Was it last week? I think it was. I'm trying to see where it is. It's saved here, but um, yeah, I said it was called Widowbound by Blood. Popped up by Ground Zero Comics. Mike Wolfert. It's a sequel to another one. Come
Widowbound
on,
by Blood.
yeah, Widowbound by Blood. It's a yeah
Oh, that's an
by
interesting title.
3 issue middle miniseries. She's a creature like she's basically turns into like a half spider, half hot babe. So she has the spider legs that come on her back, and then she has the little pinchers that come out inside her cheeks. No, yeah, it's like a take on a Vampirella character. 90s I was up, saw the bad girls.
Right.
Discovered through that. Read a little bit of that. But no, I've been actually trying to get back into reading more of the not Spider-Man, but the Superman books, post-crisis ones. Uh, just read one by Dan Jurgens. Is by Clark. Is like during Christmas. He goes to the hospital. And he talks about when he was a kid, and he he played kid that him Pete and Alana had met. And this guy had this cool car and stuff, and so basically they end up befriending him, and he invites them to their party. They go to his party, and this guy has alcohol, and they end up the guy offers to give him a ride home. Clark, who basically says, "No, you don't have to do that." Eventually, but they all get in, and he ends up getting in a car accident, and that's what Clark actually ironically learns that he was uh, invulnerable. And so the moral of the story is if Clark's there, he explains the story. He talks about how he just feels, he's talking to the guy's parents, and they're in the because the guy's basically dying. He's only got like a day or two more, and he's been in a coma since that day, on a ventilator. And Clark explains in his, he's not there to write a story. He's a big time journalist. He's there because this guy he tells the story, what's going on, and it's just basically it's a really sad story, because this guy obviously is going to die, but it's you get to learn more about Clark and just about the the cons of drinking and driving, and like I said, as a Dan Jurgens story, it just caught me out of nowhere,
Cool.
but
Is this the
but
as I'm trying to put it up here, is this the book you're talking about? The Widow book?
yeah, that's one of them. Yeah, that's the sequel.
Oh, this looks like a Venkman book.
It popped up. I was going through because everybody knows I buy my books and I read them online. I buy so I have the physical copies, and this popped up on one of the things, and I was like, "What is this?" It's like it looks weird, you know.
Widow bound by blood.
Yeah, it just randomly. There was the original one was just called I think it was just called Widow, I think something like that. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Bound by blood is okay. That's a subtitle. Gotcha.
yeah.
That
I
makes
was just like,
sense.
"What the hell is this?" And there it is right there. That's there for one. Yeah. Widow Archives. Widow. Oh yeah, on the left. Ground Zero.
Oh, this looks like a Venkman book.
I was like, yeah, it's Vampirella. It literally looked like Vampirella. Sorry,
This
I was like,
looks
oh, what?
this looks extremely indie though.
It is
This is like old school like garage
indie.
band indie.
Like I
But
said, I had never heard of this book before. I was like, what is this? And it's like, oh, she turns into a thing, and she meets this guy, and and he becomes her mate because she's been cursed with all this, and all, she was experimented on. And when she kissed him, she passed on the disease. It turns him into a spider person. Well, otherwise they don't really look like humans. So
Look at the
it
cover
was. It
price on
was.
this, man. This is $2.50
I,
back in 1992.
I know.
This was an expensive book. Indies were not easy to get. Like if you were a person who like was very frugal into comics, you probably just bought Marvel and DC. It was really hard to break through with
Yeah,
indie books because just due to like the small press concerns and things like that, you couldn't match the prices of the big dogs. Um, but we never really balked at the prices. I don't know why we bought. Maybe it's because it's Marvel and DC are the expensive books now. We're okay
probably.
paying twice as
But
much for an indie, but when Marvel and
but
DC do it,
like I said, this was like I was like, what the heck is this? So I was like, I came across this, so I read couple. I read 3 issues. And it was basically like a cult. I think she had to like stop a cult. Like and then just like it must have been a shared world because they had other characters pop up too in the book. You know, they're trying to stop at a demon invasion and it's just like what the heck?
well, look at
I've
this. I
never
mean, I
heard.
look up Widow. Look, there's a bunch through the '90s,
Yeah,
multiple titles coming back. Um, Widow the Origin, Widow Prophecy, Widow Progeny. Look at
yep.
you got a whole slew of books to go through.
I know. Like I said, I never knew they existed till this. That's the one of the only pros of basically the pirated comics online sites, pirate sites, is they sometimes they actually show you books that I guarantee you've never heard of, and this is one of them for me at least. Was the Widow one, but
All right. Um,
it's probably a quarter book now. You could find it. What if Comixology has it? Probably not though.
so myself, I've actually I talked about this on my Discord channel. Not a lot of interest because people don't like indie books for whatever reason, but you and I had talked about this book, or at least I had talked to you about it uh, for a while, and it it's called Animal Castle, and
Oh,
I saw this book like 6 months ago at the alternate comic store that I go to every once in a while because they got really good back issue selection. Well, not a good selection. They have like a dollar room. So a room, not a dollar bin. They have a dollar room. And
oh,
so it's really cool to like go if you're just looking for dollar comics. Um, yeah, it's pretty impressive. Anyways, so every once in a while, like I go through the new shelves and stuff because they order comics that my store doesn't. And I saw this comic on the shelf, and the art really grabbed me. It has this painted the covers are all painted art, and I'm an animal lover, and I just saw this and I was like, oh, that looks really just it just caught my eye, but I didn't know anything about it, and it stuck with me. And then just recently, Animal Castle Volume 2 released, and I was like, oh, maybe I should check this book and get to, so I researched a little bit, came to find out that it's inspired um, by George Orwell's Animal Farm, which is one of my favorite books of all time. And I was like, oh, now I'm even more interested. Um, but the art inside also, it was just it's it's jaw dropping. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. If you're the kind of comic person who either is just really into like superheroes, or if
mhm.
you're into just hot babes or whatever, not mocking you, not saying anything, you may not be into this style of book. This is all cartoon art with animals, but it is some of the finest cartoon art I've ever I've ever seen. Um, just looking at pages by themselves are not quite as telling as you'd flip through it, but when you read the book and you get to see not just like how well the illustrations are, but the visual storytelling, it is. it's just I was just blown away through this book.
Zach
Um,
said he read part of it. He just can't read it because it's a sad animal story. But that's what his impression was. That's why he stopped reading it.
Disappointed in you, Zach. That's a bad reason to stop reading it. It's not really a
Look,
sad animal story. I mean,
look,
it's
they show the dog's nuts. They're
yeah,
accurate.
it is. Um, it there is sadness. Like I said, it's highly inspired off of Animal Farm. So anyone that knows that story, and if you don't know that story, shame on you. You need to go read Animal Farm. It's one of the best books. Um, but this book, it's it's funny because like Orwell, it uses animals to tell a story about the human condition. And I think it's so clever to use animals because I think people get either at best they get turned off or at worst they get offended when they read a book and then they feel like they're represented in it. Like they see themselves. It's like looking in the mirror and you don't like what you see. And I think we see a lot of that when you can use animals just like Claremont cleverly used mutants to tell stories uh about not necessarily bigotry but prejudice, but he was able to use mutants instead of saying like blacks or whatever. Like he didn't get close to home. You tell like an allegory. I think it makes it more approachable. And the story of these characters, I'm telling you, I know this is not going to be. People might just be going, well, whatever, Ash, who cares? This is one of the best comics I have read ever. It is that good to me. I'm blown away. This is the best comic on the shelf, the new volume 2. Unfortunately, it's not a kind of comic you can just jump into and like pick up halfway through. It's one big story that's being serialized. Um, so that being said, I already placed an order. I have the hardcover edition of this coming in, and yeah, this is not a children's story, although it is a story I would have my kids read. Not young kids, but maybe preteen or teen. Um, I mean, it's mostly because I wouldn't have it too young because they wouldn't get some of the finer points of what the story is trying to convey. But it's about how humans rule over other humans and things we're dealing with in the world today, and they using the animals. And like I said, it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous book. I'm just enthralled with this artist. I tried to find more stuff. I believe he's a French artist. Both the writer and the artist are French. And this book was originally done in Europe, and Ablaze is adapting it here in the States. Um, but man, I have so much to say. Like I just I wish I could talk about this book for hours. It's one of those books that I just saw animals, had no idea what it was about. I thought the art on like these covers, I love the painted art, and I was like, oh, I'm curious. I like to read different things. I'm primarily into comics. I love the superheroes. That's my bread and butter. But I've always liked to have like a side dish of something else, not just the main entree. And so if you can show me something that's a little bit different, I go, okay, this is just fantastic. Like this is the digitized of the hardcovers, what the hardcover looks like. So I have this on the way. I'm gonna definitely be getting volume 2 in hardcover. Um, I just wanted to share it because like I said, it's phenomenal. And when I say it's the one of the best comics, I'm talking. I've been reading some really great stuff. We just did for our reading club Murder Falcon, which was absolutely brilliant and 5 stars. I've been reading some really great comics recently, and this stands out. Um, yeah, I might actually bring back a story time stream just to do this book because I feel it's important and maybe people will be willing to read along or watch a story time stream They may not be convinced to get it themselves, but maybe that will help. So, anyways, enough of that. I know I was really long-winded in regards, but I absolutely love it. The other thing um, is I've been reading. Um, Speaking of Murder Falcon, I have been reading Wonder Woman. Well, I finished it. Wonder Woman, Dead Earth. Let me. Have you read that, Mankman?
I no,
You
I
have never read it?
noticed.
No Desire?
No,
Really? Even
it,
after Murder Falcon?
nah.
So
I'm,
Wonder Woman, Dead Earth came out a couple years back. I want to say like maybe 3 years ago. Sounds about right. And I totally took a pass on it. I did not know at the time who Daniel Warren Johnson was. I saw this and I was like, "What the hell is this crap?" I was like, when you look at the cover here, this does not look like Wonder Woman to me. Um, so anyone who's saw this and had ideas and you judge it by the cover, totally understand. I was right there with you. The only reason I read it just recently is because I have recently been discovering who Daniel Warren Johnson really is, and each time I'm like, oh, this guy is amazing, and he's shot up into my personal list of fandom of comic creators that I like, and I mean, this guy is like in the top 10 for me now. Like I say all time. This I can't get enough. I'm like eagerly like Danny Warren Johnson, whatever he's gonna do next, I am on board for. So I came back to this book with like a new pair of eyes, going, okay, now I know I like this guy. I know that his art style is a little bit untraditional, um, non-traditional, maybe that's the word. Uh, so I was like, let me just give this, let me just read it and see what it's like. And so I had picked this book up over, actually, I think it was over Christmas, the Christmas, New Year's when Comixology had their major sales. And I got this for like pennies on the dollar. And this is a fantastic book. This is the best Wonder Woman. Not that I've read many Wonder Woman stories, admittedly. I have not read many, but it's the best I've ever read. Um, this is kind of like Daniel Warren Johnson doing for Wonder Woman what Frank Miller did for Batman and Dark Knight Returns. Um, it's a post-apocalyptic kind of story. It doesn't have some of the it doesn't have any of the political stuff that Frank Miller put in his book. I don't want to say that they're going to read the same, but just thematically it feels like that. It's very much like Elseworlds. You don't have to accept this story, obviously, just like Dark Knight Returns as like canon, but it's yeah, it's basically Wonder Woman waking up after the destruction of the world, and she's all that remains, along with a ragtag few human survivors. And there's this whole story as you're reading it. Why is the world the way that it is? And how did it get there? And so forth. And Wonder Woman's part to play in this. And I just love this story. I love Daniel Warren. If you're a Daniel Warren Johnson fan, then you should just read this. Like, period. Um, it wasn't as good as Murder Falcon, but that's not saying anything negative. But it's an absolutely worthy read. Um, and yeah, the art is probably not going to appeal to you, um, at least at first if you're not a fan. I totally get it. His art was hideous to me. I totally passed on this book because of the art originally. But I've heard other people say, so I know it's not just me, how the art grows on you. And that's totally true. He's one of those type of artists where I was like in the beginning I was so turned off, but as I read the books and see what he does, he's just it, it's I've just fallen in love with it. So um, that's what I've been reading. I've been reading more books lately because I was talking to Lost Sheep on my Discord about how the more you read good books, the more enthusiastic you're going to be about reading comics. If you're reading mediocre or bad books, I feel like it's going to make you uninterested to pick up the next book. And so for me, I've been reading a lot more because I've been fortunate to be reading some good stuff. So that's it for me. Yeah. Not in, I didn't convince you on either of those. It's the crickets.
uh, Good art. I just don't care for Wonder Woman being the only sole survivor of the Justice League. And like I said, like I said, I don't care for stuff stories like that. But
Oh, you like the post-apocalyptic stories?
not with Justice League. Like I said, I don't like dark metal or whatever it's called.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
If it's the Road Warrior, sure. But
maybe you just need to read another Daniel Warren Johnson book. It took two to convince me. So, um, Zach is trying to troll, saying Daniel Warren Johnson's art is energetic and addictive, unlike Frank Quiley. Ay, ay, ay. Austin says, I think I
you know,
remember Richard Meyer's Dead Earth video. I don't remember what he said about it though. Um,
I'm sure a lot of people did the videos on this when it came out. Came out like 3 years ago.
oh yeah, it made a lot of people were saying good things about it. Um, I was actually very interested in the story. It was the art that it was like, I'm not touching this. This looks hideous. I was like, um, so Austin says you convinced me on one thing, Ash. Animal Castle is now on my wish list, dude. Yes, check it out. Please, if you read it, if any, and this goes to anyone, if you read this book, please come back to me. I really would love to hear your thoughts. Uh, Being the only person reading it, it kind of sucks. Just you can't share it. Um, Jay says this looks interesting, Ash. I don't know which one he's saying because I don't know which one of the books was interesting. Zach says this is on my wish list. I'm going to assume that's Wonder Woman, and there we go. Uh, Evil Black Cat says Animal Farm, Yo Soggy Gym Socks, Samurai Doggy, Ash is a furry confirmed. No, I don't know what furries are in your part of the world, but reading stories depict with animal characters doesn't make you a furry. Otherwise, people who are fans of like Looney Tunes and Disney would all be furries. It's dressing up
They are.
as an animal and wanting to partake in sexual activities with other people dressed up as animals is what makes you a furry. So there's nothing wrong
We're we're
with
we're not kink
stories.
shaming anybody who wants to do that though. If you are pro furry, we're all for you.
Okay.
Just leave the real animals out of it.
Um, the opinions of real Dr. Venkman do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Ash on Comics.
Ash is anti furry.
At least one of us is. All right. What to talk about next?
Hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Trying to think of books to mention. Uh,
It doesn't have to be comics. I got to see Guardians of the Galaxy last Tuesday, so it's been we haven't got to talk about that. You've obviously seen the new Guardians of the Galaxy.
yep. Show
That was
it's
go ahead.
dude, it's phenomenal. I was gonna say it's
Yeah,
phenomenal, but I
it's
said
good.
that movie by James Gunn proves that you could still make an awesome movie without having all the stupid campy jokes in it.
Yes, it does have its fair share of jokes in it though. It's
but not as not. It's more a serious plot than like I said. Some of these other ones, they just throw in these forced jokes at the wrong time.
it, it
This was
is
more,
it
yeah.
is a more serious plot for sure. Um, I think James knows. I think what separates. I think James knows the tone that he's trying to uh, that he's trying
He also,
to show, and he doesn't put
yeah.
jokes in the wrong places, right? I think that's
He,
one of the big differences, like where you
I
get the
think
imitators and they're making it,
what,
and you're like, these jokes don't
yeah.
belong here.
So what really made this a really good story? I think a lot of people like it because it's a Rocket Raccoon origin story. If you've ever read the miniseries or played the Telltale game, for Guardians, you already know the story of the Rocket, so you already know what to expect. But still, seeing it though, is on the big screen, it's still cool. Adding in the high evolutionary, adding them into the mix was new and liked it. And
Now,
so
did
I
High
said,
what did you think of the High Evolutionaries, how he's depicted in this film?
Uh, I don't know much about how the amount of metal really as from Marvel comic books. I don't really read a lot of books. I had to mention High Evolutionary. But overall, I thought he did a pretty good job. And I'm trying to think. Is that the actor from Peacemaker? I don't know if you
Um,
watched him.
it might
Zach would
be.
know.
It might be, but I can't recall.
Yeah, he was
I
the he
thought,
was the black guy on the team that helped him out. He was the alien.
yeah, 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 I think it might be. Um, I thought the actor did a good job. Um, but it was just very different from the character I was used to in the comics. And so
Dude, my
it was
favorites.
really, really throwing me off as I was watching the
Yeah.
movie. I was like, wow, why did James go with this approach? But
But yeah, like I said, my favorite scenes, other than the showing Lila and his friends, in the wheels and all stuff, floor, because I'm on the floor, and all the jokes, like it was so sad, so heart wrenching. And then you get stuff like you see, they have to go into this. They want to get the information to help save Rocket. They break in his place, and then Nathan Fillion's character in this playing a guard, and like they're all wearing these fleshy Michelin costumes. I had to say,
Nathan Fillion's presence in the film was really weird to me because I like Nathan Fillion. And so seeing him thrown into a Marvel film, I was like, oh, that's cool. I was
like
expecting a bigger role.
you had Michael
But
Rosenbaum playing the guy. I have one of my ideas too. This guy right here, so Michael Rosenbaum under all the makeup, Lex Luthor. But
I'm not understanding your reference.
Michael Rosenbaum
Who?
was in the movie when Nathan Fillion's Quill goes like, oh, I have an idiot. This idiot here. He's pointing at Drax. He's like, oh, I have one of those too. This guy behind me. Nathan Fillion points the guy. This guy's always. I can't remember what I tell him. He always mess things up. That was Michael Rosenbaum underneath all the makeup, the
Oh,
crystal guy. So
the Crystal guy.
whatever he was is I forgot what his name is, but he was basically the guy that was that was always with Nathan Fillion. But
What? I'm totally lost. like,
did you watch the movie at all?
yes, but I don't know who Michael Rosenbaum is.
Lex Luthor he's from Smallville.
Oh, I don't watch Smallville, so there we go. That explains everything.
He's also
Um,
it was a Wally West in the Justice League cartoons.
okay, okay. So
He's one of the most famous Lex Luthors other than Gene Hackman.
fair enough, fair enough. I just didn't. I was lost. You were like speaking Greek to me, and I was like, okay, am I supposed to know who this Michael Rosenbaum is? Um, let's see. Ethereal Dragon says Guardians of the Galaxy is the only MCU stuff I look forward to. Well, that's kind of a bummer. But I kind of understand. Um, it definitely is. I thought this was the best. I thought this was the best MCU film in the post Endgame era, and I think even if it were in the the first phases, I think it would have stood out amongst those. This might be the best Guardians film. How did you feel it stood compared to the other Guardians films?
I said when we ranked these in our review, I said it goes, this is the best one. Then it goes one, then two.
I didn't watch a review, unfortunately, because I didn't want to be spoiled. So I apologize.
Okay.
But I would have otherwise. I was showing you support by not watching. If that makes sense. So you say this one, then two, then one?
Yep. No,
Wow.
no. This one, then two.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think that's probably how I would rate him as well. Uh, although I gotta say, the more I watch number two, the better it gets for me. Um, Zach says he wasn't with Nathan Fillion. He was with Sylvester. I don't understand that comment. I showed my brother who watched the movie, the 90s X-Men episode with the High Evolutionary trapping Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver and then fighting Magneto. He was surprised. All right. Yeah, I mean, if you don't know who the Guardian, or sorry, the High Evolutionary is, then you're probably fine because, like I said, the actor does a great job. The character is a good character. It was just so different. Like I was like, wait, whoa. um, Zach says this is the most emotional for sure. Um, yeah, it was even more emotional than Volume Two. I was choked up in more than one occasion, very much. I really
Like I
liked.
said,
Go ahead.
I was just say every time you see him with he's like Quill's, just with Gamora and just like you're like, get with the girl, and like for us, you're like, because they were an item before, but like it just you kind of see her through the movie. She goes through Quill's backpack, and she's kind of like like, oh, there might be hope for this, but like at the same time, you're also like Rocket, and then they showed Lila, Wheels, and Floor, and just thinking, man, Rocket is just it's just his whole story is just so tragic. And it's just him getting a chance to get revenge on the guy who did this to him and his friends. And like, oh, as I said, and then this is a huge spoiler. So if you haven't seen the movie,
Huge
plug your ears.
spoiler warning.
Rocket's dying. He's pretty much on his deathbed. He sees his friends in heaven or where the afterlife is, and they tell him it's not your time. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're doing Deadpool too. He gets yanked away. No. So
That was a good scene.
yeah,
It was one of those scenes where it's like you knew, you just knew when you were watching it, like he wasn't. It was one of those like like you're walking to the light, the afterlife type, like go to the light, like you knew he wasn't going to go, like he was going to come back to life, like you just felt it in your gut when you're watching it, but it was the execution of how they did it that like felt so good. So I won't spoil that. Let people experience that for themselves if you guys still haven't seen it. If you still haven't seen the Guardians of the Galaxy, um, I kind of understand movies are expensive these days, but don't don't let anything of like the current MCU dissuade you. Like don't be like, oh man, I got bummed. Like all these recent movies have been so at best. I totally get
I
this. This one is not, and it's not reliant on the greater MCU narrative, right? Like some of the movies, the only real reason to watch it, like Captain Marvel, right, is because it's following the whole Thanos story. So like if you don't watch that movie, you feel like you're missing a part of the story. This movie, it doesn't really interconnect. Like you can just really just appreciate it on its own. You can be like, I've missed the past 6 or 7 movies. Does not matter. They don't
yeah.
really,
For,
they don't connect. So,
I gotta
um,
say, and this is probably a hot take, but I like this better than Endgame and Infinity.
yep, I would say, yeah. I don't think that's a
I
hot
mean,
take.
like
Just
both those movies, they had good scenes in them, but overall, the narrative story, I did care for it.
yeah. Well, I think Infinity was better than Endgame.
Infinity with Thor, man, going on the field, just the lightning strike and everything. Awesome.
Yeah. Um,
Endgame, he had Cap picking up the hammer.
there were some
You
good
know,
scenes in each one of those
yeah,
for
yeah, each
sure.
one. But overall, like I said,
James
they're
Gunn is so good at um writing like a large group of characters and giving each of them their moments.
yeah,
You know, a lot of times, like one of the things I hated going back in the day is in the '90s when the first X-Men movie came out. Now I was super excited because number one, we didn't get comic movies very much back in those days. Like comic movies were not nearly like what they are today. It was very few and far between. And X-Men was my jam. And I was like, oh, Batman's cool. I'm glad they did a Batman movie or whatever. Superman's cool. Like, but I was like, they're making an X-Men movie. Um, and I was so disappointed. And then the thing that they failed most at, in my opinion, was that it wasn't an X-Men movie. It was basically a Wolverine movie. Wolverine and Friends is what the movie should have been called because he was the only person in the entire movie that gets any character development. Everyone else
Wolverine
is
and the
just
X-Men. Yeah.
everyone else is just window dressing.
But would
Um,
it better if they would have given the classic condoms costumes?
classic condoms. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
they
it
used
would
to
have been.
wear.
I mean, it would have been cooler to me as a fan if they would have had the classic
Oh
costumes, but
man,
it still would have
Wolverine.
been a it
Give
still would have been a
yeah.
problematic movie because eh, all these other characters, they're just window dressing. They have no character. I don't have any reason to care who they are. But conversely, you look at Guardians 3 as a prime example. You care about every single character.
Single person.
James Gunn
X-Men,
gives
all
you
you
a
yeah.
and I'm like, this is how X-Men should have been done.
Yeah,
Like,
X-Men it makes you only care about Wolverine because Wolverine's Hugh Jackman's performance was better than everybody else in there.
in the script,
Yeah.
he was the only character that had any background. Everyone else was just like, look, I shoot stuff out of my eyes. Oh, look, I control.
Wolverine's whole entire dude, Wolverine's whole entire origin story, you don't even have to do it. All you gotta say is the guy who just drinks beer, gets into fights, flips people off with his metal claw, and then that's it. And right there, that's more entertaining than anything else that come up with other characters.
Yeah. And so that was a big problem with the X-Men franchise for me.
Yeah.
But I was trying to use that to contrast how Guardians of the Galaxy
Yeah.
just
Well, definitely, yeah.
every single I mean, even though this movie was primarily the Groot, or sorry, not Groot, sorry, the Rocket origin story, the way that he constructed the story was so genius in the sense that Rocket's not even in most of the story. Well, at least not the Rocket we know. It's
Flashback.
the
Yeah, the
flashback
flashback.
Rocket, young
Yeah.
little Rocket. We get him,
Yeah.
but when it's in the current timeline, it's the Guardians minus Rocket. And so you get all of their story through kind of like how they're affected by this and just the stuff they were able to do. Like I just knew going in like this is going to be, you know, the Bautista exit movie. Like he's been very vocal about he's never going to do another Guardians movie. And so
He'll come back.
I'm like, oh, they're going to kill him off. Right? Like that's how my head was. I
Oh,
was like he's going to die in this movie cuz that way you don't have to worry about him coming back and obviously MCU has shown they killed Gamora, so it's like it's not like they won't kill a character. And so I was like, I was cool with it. Like we've had the Drax story, um, but they managed to give him really
a
great,
good ending.
like really great arc. Man, um, even like
Groot. Yeah,
Groot
he was
was
great too. Groot,
Groot.
he gets nearly destroyed, then he grows up to his teenagers again, and then he gets destroyed again. But wait, he's still back to be normal size because his head was still alive.
Evil Black Cat says Ash likes James Gunn's Little Rocket. Yeah, gotta say. Well, I am a furry, so um, no, yeah, but even like side characters like Nova just had their parts. Um, just all in all, man, just very, very happy and satisfied with that. I
John C.
wish,
Reilly, part of the Nova Corps.
I wish someone at Disney I wish someone at Disney would have recognized James Gunn's talent a- and put him maybe in the head of like Star Wars because that's what Star Wars is missing too is those character interactions. If you go back and watch the original trilogy of Star Wars, all the characters, they're less extreme. Like I feel like Guardians is like taking the Star Wars mechanic, and just turning up the volume to 11.
Well,
But
that was
it,
the
it
whole
had
thing. He
it
said
had
he
that
like
same
he
thing
went
where these characters they bantered with each other and they seemingly didn't get along, but they really did love each other. And you got arcs between everybody, and it's just a fun ride to go back and watch the movies over and over again because you just
well,
enjoy. He did the same thing with
so
Guardians.
so James Gunn is a huge Star Wars nerd. That was his love story
Oh,
to basically
jeez.
Star
See?
Wars.
And here we get Warner Brothers luring him over to do DC, and we could have had that, but oh well.
But I was saying, I'm curious to see what he's gonna do with Superman. You know, I hope he has a really good story. I just and my only concern about it is that the actor they choose and all.
That's gonna be
And
tough, man. I don't know if
is Ezra gonna be replaced? I mean, if they replace Ezra, like that'll even make me want to support James Gunn more.
It's gonna be really tough, man. I think Henry Cavill is very fresh in people's minds, and I think
He had the physique, dude. He's a Superman fan. He
yeah,
wanted to do a Superman story like he had in the post crisis stuff. He said that was his favorite era of Superman stuff. He liked Superman being a role model, a beacon of hope, not this I'm gonna fight Batman, and then die and then come back and fight the Justice League. No. He said that's not Superman. That's some twisted Zack Snyder bullshit, he said, pretty much.
yeah. I mean,
Uh
people have
the
their
whole yeah, the
opinions
whole
on
Zod
that.
thing. He wanted
I
yeah,
I
exactly.
agree with people that Snyder's vision of Superman was not
Just
100%
too dark.
comics accurate. It was a bit dark. Yeah, it's hard to say
It
though
does
because
it doesn't really fit for Superman though. For
it's hard to
Batman,
s-
perfectly.
it's hard to say, man, because his Justice League movie is aces. Like it really presents a strong argument to a lot of the things that people say about his thing. Like he was telling a dark story, but it's not like DC Comics hasn't told dark stories in the past.
My thing is that I'm fine with Justice League. The Justice League that was okay because it was him coming back to life. But what they should have done in Man of Steel shouldn't have been so dark. It should have been more positive, more uplifting. No.
I thought Man of Steel was. I think Man of Steel gets a bad rap for the wrong reasons. I think the movie is
Well,
a
they,
problematic film, but not because I don't think Superman is dark in that movie. The whole time
Superman didn't. Well, they basically took. They wanted to take a Christopher Reeves movie and basically combine it with the because Christopher Reeves did Superman 2. That was when he go against Zod.
Mhm.
But they're like, well, how about in the first movie he goes against Zod at the end? It's just like it just felt too much in one movie. I would
Yes,
have
I
rather.
do. I think it was too much, and I think Zod was a poor choice to do his original villain. And those,
And then the Lex
I
Luthor
think
was
those
weak
are all
too.
fair opinions and criticisms. But when people go, "Oh, it's too dark," it's like, but Superman himself wasn't dark. It was him in a dark situation. But other than the very ending, which I understand people's complaint about, he kills Zod. I never saw Superman as being portrayed as dark. He was trying to. I thought he was pretty accurate to the Superman that I know and love. Um, the film is obviously it's worthy of its criticism for sure. But by the point that I'm getting at is I don't think it's such a deal that like James Gunn needs to completely upend it. I don't think that there's a, a solid enough argument to be made to say we can't continue on with Henry Cavill, right? Just because you have the movies that you had doesn't mean that that's just the movies you need to keep making. You see what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
Yeah, like I said,
the Zack
maybe
Snyder stories were dark. Doesn't mean your story has to be dark.
I think maybe down the line Cavill will come back, but I'm not gonna hold my breath.
I don't think he's coming back. There'll
Like
be
I would be, I said he's at the perfect age to do Kingdom Come.
Henry Cavill's will only come back, I think, under one condition, and that condition is that Superman Legacy is such a miserable failure and a piece of shit that Warner Brothers puts on the brakes and is like, oh, but bring him back, and tries to undo that. But let's think about it this way: if Superman Legacy is awesome and we're all praising it, we're all singing the songs, James Gunn is great, he made Superman, like then we're gonna forget about Cavill. And DC, more importantly, will forget about Cavill. You know what I'm saying? We'll just be like, that's the past. We're moving forward. Right now, we're in that phase where it's unknown. We don't know what we're gonna get, and no one's ever seen James Gunn do a movie like Superman. And I think people have a little apprehensions because none of us wants to see Superman be done like Suicide Squad or
Well,
Peacemaker
it,
or even Guardians of the Galaxy.
it was worrying me because he kept talking about, oh, I'm reading All Star Superman. I was like, what? One of the most depressing Superman stories there is. I
uh,
was like, no, no.
so
So who knows? Yeah,
let's see. Man of Steel was in the era where any superhero movie who wasn't MCU just wanted to be as brooding as The Dark Knight.
yeah,
Well, that's where DC
yeah.
made their bread and butter, Austin. Like Dark Knight was the only, well, sorry, the Nolan Batmans were the only successful DC movies. So it makes
As
sense.
far
Plus, MCU already had the corner. They already had the market on like the lighthearted, like woo, And so DC wanted to separate themselves and make their movies like more adult, more.
as
It makes sense.
Cat's bringing up that you guys get Cavill's 40. They needed someone who can play the role for 10 years or 15 years, whatever. But problem, yeah, they have a 10-year plan. Problem is that that's good enough for a 10-year plan, but if your first phase sucks, doesn't make money, you know.
I'm not sure I buy into that though, because how old is Tom Cruise?
Tom Cruise is going to be turning 60. He's like 59 or something like that.
And dude is still playing Ethan Hunt.
He's got this movie and he's got I think one more after this. It's a two-parter
Yeah.
that he's retiring from the
So
role.
I think Cavill could feasibly play Superman for 15 years.
Yeah,
Now I get it. You got your story. You want to tell a young Superman. I get it. I just
I don't want MCU Spider Boy.
I don't know.
I
DC's
don't,
in a weird situation. I think the difficulty for me is that they haven't cut ties to the Zack Snyder verse completely. When they
no,
said, "Oh,
that's
we're
the
going to
thing.
keep Gal Gadot and we're going to keep Ezra, but we're letting go of Aquaman." I'm like, I'm like, what? What are you doing? Like, you're keeping some, but not the others. Like, if you're gonna say, look, the James Gunn verse is 100% new, fresh reboot, then reboot 100% fresh. Don't. You're keeping some of the characters, not others. You have a hard time making the argument of like, well, we're not keeping Cavill as Superman.
What's with all this Tom Cruise hate in the chat? Tom Cruise needs to retire. Tom Cruise has been kicking the MCU's ass with his movies.
Tom Cruise needs to retire. Are you kidding me? Like that's like he's like one of the few guys making consistently great movies. Like when Tom Cruise makes a movie these days, you're pretty much it's like one of the few safe bets to be like, oh, it's probably gonna be good. Now
Yeah,
you can't say that about just about anyone else. Yeah, Tom Cruise is a loony. Okay, I get it. Like I don't think I would be friends with the dude. But when it comes to making movies, the dude is a 100% the epitome of a movie star, and he makes good movies.
would I risk it on Henry Cavill? Yes. You've seen the outcry. It's not just the Snyder fans.
Now the question should
A
be:
lot.
would you risk a multi-million-dollar franchise on the hope that some nobody is going to come
Yeah.
in when people want Cavill? Like that would have been like if you go back to the day, well, I guess it didn't really matter because Superman 3
It'd
and
be
4
like getting rid of
sucked.
Robert Downey Jr. and
But
saying, "Yeah,
imagine no, imagine Superman 1 and 2, right? And then after Superman 2, they replaced Christopher Reeves. Like
I
it's a
said
it's a bad
replacing Robert
analogy
Downey Jr. in
because
Avenger."
3 and 4 sucked
What?
anyway, but
Robert Downey Jr. in Iron Man after the first two movies. Well, cool, we're gonna replace him now.
yeah. I think that they're saying they need to retire, the more worried about his odds of dying. What? Why?
Because he does
Why?
parkour. No, I don't know.
I don't
He
know.
does his own stunts
I don't
apparently.
feel
Yeah.
like Tom Cruise is like ready to drop dead.
Well, they're saying because he does these risky stunts, like he did his last one. He did a motorcycle jump. And this,
Sure, but when you do a risky stunt, it's not like you can like jump off a cliff,
Cavill.
but if you're 30 years old and you jump off a cliff and your stunt goes wrong, you're still gonna live. Like you're gonna die no matter what. Like it
If,
doesn't.
like I said, if Cavill had the ear of somebody or at the DC was able to make good book, or story that's close to the source material, like he was doing with The Witcher on Netflix, constantly fighting. Because we saw how The Witcher was good, with him in there. But
I just think it's weird that the two most beloved casts,
yep.
Cavill as Superman and Jason Momoa as Aquaman, are the ones that they're parting ways, and then they're keeping Godot, or Godot, I don't know how to pronounce her name, and Miller. Like it should be backwards. And I don't dislike Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman per se, but I don't necessarily think that she like made Wonder Woman. I thought she did an okay job, but it's not
Are,
like
are, are, has it been confirmed that they're keeping Ezra Miller?
it's only confirmed in the sense that there's a movie coming out with Ezra Miller. Um, so this could be the last one. Uh, but uh, they haven't said, unlike Momoa and Cavill, like they stated like nope, they're done, like gone. But with Godot,
Also, they have to get rid of Ezra Miller as it is because he's 30. They can't keep him for another 10 years.
and Miller, they have not said they're done. And so what that tells me is there's maybe a Wonder Woman movie in the works right now. Uh,
Says, according to the Inside the Magic.net, Ezra Miller to be removed from the Flash, replaced with a different actor. Will probably be recast when the DC Extended Universe movie drops in the movie theaters. They're gonna uh basically recast him. This is February though, but who knows?
good, good. Like I said, if you're gonna reboot 100%. I don't want to see shared actors in a different universe, right? Like I wouldn't want to see Henry Cavill, for example,
Oh,
in the latest Batman movie. Like they're
I'll
just
just say
to me they're
this:
not the same world.
when I see articles saying the Flash tracking for a bigger opening in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Michael Keaton can only do so much.
Well, we'll see. I was there in '89. Michael Keaton did a hell of a lot. Batman Batman was a thing. Like
Like you're gonna have what's his name there too? The other Batman, because it's gonna start off him talking to Ben Affleck's Batman, and I think it might end with him talking to Ben Affleck.
I gotta say that that trailer for the Flash is a really good looking trailer.
I hope it doesn't turn out to be like the Button, but
It's a
only if Tom King kept writing everything.
no, I don't think it will be. I think it'll be a fine film. It has a decent story. Um the very fact that they've pushed this movie forward, considering everything that's happened, I'm sure this movie will be fine. Will it be great or even really good? I don't know. But
The Flash is DC's No Way Home.
it
Since this
should
guy
be.
tweeted.
Hopefully they're using this movie to establish the new DC verse. Like hopefully this is like a Flashpoint story and then like they'll do it like the comics do and be like we're using this as a way of completely rebooting our movie verse so that we don't obsolete the old movies, but we have a really solid explanation of why those old movies aren't continuing with the like they're still relevant. So we'll have to see what they do. Not 100% convinced of my own arguments though, considering like why didn't you put Henry Cavill in this movie? Why did you put this weirdo Supergirl girl that no one cares about?
I don't know. Is Amber Heard being recast after they get rid of Aquaman? Is she staying on? They're going to
Well,
do a
why
movie
would they?
called
They're
Mara.
getting rid of Aquaman. Why would they keep her? That would be
They keep
stupid.
it's called it's like Ezra. They're going to call it Mara. She's now they do Aquaman.
Now, okay, I just thought of a question here. How do you think they'll reboot Aquaman? Do you think that with sorry, if they reboot Aquaman, do you think that they'll use an actor who looks more like Arthur in the
Wouldn't they
comics?
use Wouldn't they use Jackson? Uh
No, they won't.
Aqualad.
No,
The gay one.
no, they won't. But do you think, or do you think they'll put a person of color to play Arthur? Because here's the thing: you got Jason Momoa. That was already like a tough mountain. People were like, "What they?"
He's not white, so if you can't really race swap him, if you put a white guy there.
Right, but I'm
They're not
saying
gonna do
is,
that.
so no, no. So think, see where I'm going with this. If they cast a new Aquaman and they make him look like the comics, right? Blonde hair, blue eye, light skin actor, right? Say like an Army Hammer type looking guy. Then you're gonna see the freaking weirdos on the left freaking out, like, "Ah, you whitewashed Aquaman!" It just right because it's not about truth; it's about their agenda and their perspective. And to them, Aquaman is a person who looks like a Samoan or whatever Pacific Islander background Jason Momoa is. So he's a dark skinned individual. And you can't, because once you go darker skin, you can't go backwards without upsetting the left. And the left control everything. So do they recast Aquaman and now they put, like, who do they cast? That's a weird conundrum. I'm very curious to see if they have the balls to like make it look authentic, like how he should look, or if they like, well, we got to keep him brown skinned because that's the way we went.
I don't know, man.
Eric Breen says, Blackwaman. Welcome, Eric. Good to see you. Welcome to Helam as well, and Austin.
That oh my gosh, if they make Aquaman black, you imagine him trying to swim.
That's dude. That was wow.
DC goes dark.
Wow. Ah, I don't even know what to say to that. I I'm at a
Zach
loss.
already left. He's scared. We started talking about swapping.
Zach doesn't love us anymore. He used to crash the channel, and now he doesn't even stick around to watch. It's all right, Zach.
I don't see them taking Arthur and making him black. They already have the Jason Momoa actor. I can't see them going full like we're gonna make him like full on black as a character.
So do you think they'll cast him
If
with a white guy?
I think so, or
Don't
they
you
just won't
see
cast
like
him.
don't you think the
They're,
people
I know what
freaking out though?
you want to you want to think it is. I think they want to reboot Aquaman. I think they'll leave Aquaman
What are
alone.
you
They
ta-
won't do another Aquaman movie.
Dude, it's the most successful DCEU film. Why would they not reboot it?
Because why do they hire people like Megan Fitzmartin to write stories for them?
No, you're talking about the comic books.
Yeah, but
We're
she's
talking about the
also written
movies.
stuff. But she's also writing movies for them too.
She's not writing movies.
She just did that Ruby DC animated crossover thing. She wrote that.
The comic book.
The animated. And as of right now, I don't think anyone's been writing it out because they're on strike.
The strike's gonna end. So
I don't know. They're having pizza night. Either tomorrow or Wednesday. You're talking about
we've had multiple writer strikes. This is it's not the first writer strike. It's not gonna be the last. Um, whatever.
it. It's been
But
too much time
regardless,
with
who they
Zach.
who they cast as Aquaman has no bearing on a writer strike anyway.
I don't think they. I said honestly, I don't think they'll do another one because they'd have to find another actor on the same quality or that, or they could just go with a random white dude. You know,
Well, recasting Superman is going to be a much harder job than recasting Aquaman.
or you know what they'll make Aquaman Asian.
So I guess they could make him Asian, but that would be silly. Like it would. I don't know. I just think it's an interesting conundrum because logic would dictate that you just make him look more like he does in the comic books. But I think because they put him that way in the movies, and most of these people, these weirdos on the left, they don't read the books, they don't really know the things that they talk about, would just see that he's blonde haired, white skin, and just be like, you turned Aquaman into a Nazi, you know? And so I just think that the studio is kind of trapped in this position now that they probably have to cast him with a brown skinned individual just so that people don't lose their shit. I don't know. We'll have to see. It's very curious. Um, Evil Black S says Megan Fitzmartin and Riley Rossmore are the best arguments for AI. It's not a good argument for AI. Replacing shit from with more shit's not. I don't know. Um, anyways, let's talk about this comic book that I got on the screen. That Megan Fitzmartin didn't write.
Or did she write it?
Dun dun dun. I don't think she couldn't write something like this. So this is World's Finest, Batman Superman, written
I
by
gotta ask.
Mark Waid.
I gotta ask you. Did this live up to the title name for you?
Uh, mm, no, but
You're
uh, I
canceled.
I do have a positive reaction to this book. But since you've actually been reading World's Finest, I have not been reading this book. Um,
Told you to start with 13. Because
yeah, I know you
you're
did.
third with. Yeah.
Uh, you have been reading this though since number one, right?
Yeah. Since this launched, Mark Wade. I was reading the other one during Future State that was Josh Williamson run, but this has been by far better than Josh Williamson run.
So I know you and Zach have been pretty hot on this book,
Even
and
Breen.
even Breen. Uh,
Yeah.
and so I've been hearing the talk, and I pay attention to that stuff. And you and I, behind the scenes, we every week we talk about like which books are we going to feature and talk about. And you had thrown up a bunch of books that you had bought, and I asked you which is the best of those books. And so this was your response. Now, I'd been curious about this book, but DC is kind of like, DC's lost a
Mhm.
lot of my interest. So Tehillim is saying, Ash reading a DC book? What heresy is this? I'm not against reading a DC book. I'm against buying a DC book. I know DC is actually making some good books right now, but I just don't I don't I don't like the fact that I can't rely on them to continue that way because they were doing that with Rebirth and then they flushed it all down the toilet and served me a big plate of shit called Future State. And they said, "Oh, it's only going to be a couple months." And all the DC fans were like, "Oh, Ash, it's only for a couple months. They'll be fine." And then over a year, year and a half later, still doing Future State. No, screw that. Um, and then you talked earlier about the price of the raising of the books, whatever. Anyways, so this is one of the books because I wanted to read something different than the same old books we always do, and I want to give something a chance. And this was a book that Venkman was hot on. So why don't you talk about the book first, though, since you've actually been reading it since issue 1? My take on this book is going to be based purely on issue 15. As like a new comic reader, I have not read anything previous. I just jumped on this book only and what it was like to experience that because I think comics should be that way, right? They're a monthly periodical. Every book should be considered the possibility that it's someone's first book, and so it should every book should be able to be jumped in on. Like
Pretty
otherwise,
sure
you should just
does
sell it
give.
as a graphic novel.
I think they do give you a recap in the very beginning of the book, the opening page. They give a summary.
Well, I'm gonna let
Maybe
you.
not. Okay, I know.
I'll just let
Normally
you
they
talk
do.
about what just just talk about the book for yourself, like what you think, your fandom of it, what you like or dislike, if anything. And just yeah, just talk about the book like you would,
So
and then I'll jump in after you're done.
for context of those who don't, you said you're jumping into this. You don't basically. Uh, Simon Stagg is pretty much been murdered, and all points, everyone points basically to uh, his his son-in-law, basically Metamorpho. And so, as we learned last issue, that that Metamorpho was actually cleared of his innocence. That Simon Stagg was actually a robot. He wasn't a real thing. So everybody suspects, according to the last, it has to be, Ivo. I forgot what his last name is, but he's the guy who created Mr. Tornado. So or Red Tornado. He also created what's his name, Amazo. So they're looking for him, and I gotta say, it's going into this. If you see Red Tornado, he just rescued some kids and family, and then you see him, he kind of irks. So there's something wrong with him. Meanwhile, Dick Grayson, Robin, yes, this isn't Tim Drake. This is Dick Grayson and Superman are fighting against a new creation called Ultra Morpho, who
Wait a minute,
basically has a kryptonite arm.
this is Dick Grayson.
It's a Silver Age.
This is
Mark
oh
Waid's been doing Silver Age. Yeah.
oh okay. Keep going.
Did you not recognize when the Teen Titans came in?
I'm not a Titans person,
Well,
so
you recognize that if it was record Titans, you'd notice that it's a ginger Kid Flash and not Wallace. But anyway, yeah. So basically, they're fighting against one of Ivo. They think it's Ivo's creation because they're like, okay, and he has to try and get him out of there. Like I said, I love the Dan Morris art. Uh, of course, they are saved by Metamorpho. Comes in here. Tracy tries to help him out, and previous there we had saw Batman came across. Well, when he came in the lab earlier, another part of the lab, he came across. Well, you see him. He's got armor now, created out of the original Metal Men, who were all liquid states. He formed of himself a Batman armor, which is really cool. Um, so if you're a fan of the Metal Men, they're in here too as well. And you see him putting up a really good fight, yeah. And meanwhile, Doom Patrol are dealing across in Washington D.C. and all of a sudden, one of the girls from the Metal Men, she starts, freaking out. Or I think that's one of the ones. I think her name is Goldie. Can't remember. But either way,
I think her name was
uh,
Mechanique.
or Mechanique, figure out where she's from. I thought she was part of the Metal Men. I'm not too keen on the Silver Age as far as a lot of these characters, but obviously you got what's her name, Elastic Girl, you know, a robot. So anyway, while they're fighting out, this is going on here. You're getting cool scenes. Look at the art on this. I gotta say, I love the arts. And then you see the Metal Men coming off of Batman's armor from wrapping around the Ultra Morpho. Like it's I'm just loving the panels going through. And then Superman has basically a suit, basically keep him from getting the radiation poisoning created by Metamorpho, which is a callback. Not Metamorpho wearing a suit, but I mean Superman has had a suit like that in the actual cartoon series too. He's in an anti kryptonite suit. I don't know if he's in it. Then we get the challengers of the unknown popping up, and apparently that's their robot or spaceship or whatever, buddy. But he's gone rogue too. You're noticing a lot of these different robots, including Robotman, are becoming infected. They're starting to basically, act out and start attacking humans. Sort of like what's going on? Some virus going around too, and finally, because the Metal Men they said they're designed to basically protect humans, value life. They basically took Metamorpho and Robin out of there before they died, and Robin's upset because you left them to die. We're going back, and he's like, dude, you gotta have a plan. I love how Rex is like, you gotta have a plan, dude. Can't just go in there and punch and stuff, you know. Or actually, no, Rex was saying he want to go back. So here you go. We get the Titans here. We get to Donna, Aqualad, Speedy, Roy Harper, and Kid Flash, Wally West. They have their own problem. Basically, Robin's been calling, asking for help. He needs Titans to help him up, but they're busy. They were kind of busy over here. Uh, and it is basically goes. The issue goes through around the world. Different people or heroes are fighting against different threats, and then Batman and Superman are left there. This is the aftermath. They're wearing hip collars, basically to courtesy of their captor. It's basically keep in line. They find there's Ivo there too, and we got the Will Magnus, I think his name is Doctor Cyber Toyman. It's everybody who's basically a robotic scientist. And they find out who really is in control because they thought it was because even Mazo's there. Like, well, then who's in control? You know, and they get shot, and here it is. It's new Mazo. I am a basically a combination created by Ivo and Magnus. I am basically the perfect robot, Amazo 2.0. And that's kind of how it ends for them. But we see Robin call Supergirl, and he's driving the Batmobile. And basically, she says, "I'm busy." She's going against Chemo, who's another. He has cybernetics in him. He's basically under control. And of course, it ends with Batman lose control of the Batmobiles. He's about to crash the wall.
All right, that's confusing to me. The whole Silver Age bit. There's nothing in this comic that tells you. Um, I mean, even like here in the beginning, where it's like the Dark Knight, the Man of Steel. They're two of the finest heroes the world has ever known. First of all, though, he wasn't called the Dark Knight until after the Silver Age, so that's weird. As far as I know, my brain's gonna come in and correct me if he's still awake. Um, but there's nothing in here to like suggest.
Well, you could by the Titans, you can tell by the who are in the Titans members. That's a
Why
dead
don't they call
giveaway.
them the Teen Titans? They just call them the Titans, and so I'm like, oh, it's the Titans because the Titans are back. And so
Well,
to
they
me,
were
I
called
didn't,
the
I didn't, I didn't pay that close attention because I don't follow them at all. And
they weren't.
so
I don't think they're called the Teen Titans in that. They're just called, or maybe it was Teen Titans.
no,
Regardless,
in the Silver Age they were called the Teen Titans. In the
yeah,
modern age
yeah,
they're called the Titans. And in
but
this book they're
they
called
were
the Titans.
before post crisis. They were called the New Titans. A new they're just called the new yeah.
So,
As they got yeah.
now that I'm flipping through this book, the big giveaway to me should have actually been Batman's costume because he's wearing the blue and the gray. And so that
Anytime
that
you
should have
see, yeah, I was gonna say,
that should have
anytime you
been
see
the big
Wally
giveaway.
West, yeah, right there, Donna Troy in her drill costume. Aqualad's alive.
Well, number one, I don't recognize that as Aqualad. I don't know who that is. I don't follow the Titans. And so
Well,
Wally
you know that
West
Wally
being on
West,
there, like I'm like, oh well,
yeah.
Wally West is alive again, so whatever. Like it just doesn't dawn on me.
He's
I just gloss right past it. Number two though, it's like that's Dick Grayson, which okay, Silver Age that makes sense, but why is he wearing the costume of he's not wearing the Dick Grayson costume. He's wearing the
He's wearing
Tim
pants.
costume. I'm just
I
thrown
think,
off.
yeah, Tim's is a little different though. I think
Maybe. I guess if I saw it side by side, I would be able to point out the differences, but that looks way more like Tim than Dick.
Tim's costume is a Damien costume, Damien Robin costume.
Um, so yeah, that throws me off. Also, wasn't Metamorpho a bad guy?
He was he was a good guy.
I
Um, yeah,
maybe I don't know DC that well, but I thought
Plastic
Metamorpho
Man
being
was
a
the
good guy is
villain.
only like a recent thing.
Plastic Man was the villain that became a hero.
Uh, Zach says they're the Teen Titans. Well, I know that they're the Teen Titans. Once it's explained to me, what I'm
He
saying is
also
in
says
this particular
yeah,
issue, they don't say the
yeah.
Teen Titans. They refer to them as the Titans. So I was reading it without the information, and so my brain was just making assumptions like, oh well, this is current continuity. That's the Titans. Like
Well,
I
later
wasn't.
they're I don't can't remember they he's saying they're Teen Titans, but I mean I remember Teen Titans ended and then they had the George Perez Titans. I don't think that was post crisis. I think that was pre crisis. But then
Titans is
again,
a recent thing. They've been the Teen Titans forever.
they had the new Teen Titans. Was it?
Yeah,
And I'm thinking
they
it
they
was the new Teen
they
Titans.
weren't
Yeah,
called the Titans until like
yeah,
I want to say the
Yeah,
2020s, like or
yeah.
the
So
2000s. Like it's semi recent. Um, so I mean, I can see it now that you pointed out. Like I said, the Batman costume is a big giveaway that I just totally overlooked because anyway. And I did the one thing I did notice though that I was giving gripes for. I came to this page and I was like, what? Why is this the original challengers? I was like, damn it, this is they actually had a challengers in the unknown book, like 4 or 5 years ago. Um, and there's new challengers. Like these are not it. So I was like, what the hell? DC? And I'm like, oh, it's Silver Age, so it makes sense it's these guys.
yeah,
Um,
Mark Waid's been doing Silver Age since book one.
okay. I just
Yeah.
wish somewhere in the book that it would like tell you,
I'm surprised they
right?
didn't give you a brief summary because normally books do that. Even maybe
Here's the
I
thing. There's nothing on this book. You see this on the shelf, you pick it up, you're assuming, like I assumed this is DC continuity. I'm assuming this book fits in. So as I was reading it, one of the things I noticed about it, I was like, wow. First of all, this is a pretty good book. Like, this is an example of how to do big two comics. Mark Waid is showing off. He's not reinventing the wheel. He's not writing the most epic like thing, but it's really, really solid. And what I noticed is that jumping in, not knowing anything, I start on this page. Where is it? Sorry, go back here, and it just there's no recap. There's just boom. There's Red Tornado, and he's saving some kids. Fine, I'm okay with that. Like I wasn't lost. I mean, I don't know why he's there. I don't know the backstory, but I don't need to. Um, and it goes in, and I see Superman. They're fighting this Ultramorpho guy. All right, I don't know who he is, but fine. I'm on for the ride. I don't need everything spelled out. I what I need to do is be able to understand the story that I'm reading currently. I need to be able to follow the narrative. And Mark Waid successfully did that. Other than the fact that I was totally clueless, I was reading a Silver Age story, like that part, but it didn't destroy the narrative. I still got like an entertaining story out of it. Um, I just, I'm just, man, I don't know.
he does call him
Eh,
Dick Grayson too. I think he does call
I don't remember them saying Dick Grayson.
or something here.
I don't.
Maybe they don't mention.
Yeah, I just
Don't
called him
they mention his
Robin.
name?
Um, so I'm just thinking as a person going into the store and buying this book, let's say I'm buying DC Comics or whatever. You go in, you're expecting a certain product, and you don't get exactly what you expected. That's not good. Like, I'm not against DC doing a Silver Age book by any means, but maybe put something on the cover, right? Or maybe create an imprint saying something about, like, alluding to the fact that this is Silver Age, or it's not, at the very least, is not part of the current continuity.
Yeah, yeah, they're assuming you basically have been following it since the first issue,
And
or
that's a
at least
mistake,
people have
though.
talked about it. Yeah,
That,
it
that
is.
you should be creating a book where you want every issue that comes out. Let's get someone on board. Maybe they'll try out the book. And here's the thing that I want to give this book the most credit for. I didn't know what was going on before I read the book. I'm knowing all the backstory. I'm reading it. I'm following what's going on. This is a kind of like, how do I say, like almost like a finale type story. Like there's not a lot of background, or there's not a lot of development. This is like shit's hit the fan, big things are happening, a lot of fighting, a lot of action, not a lot of actual drama. And so I kind of knew that. I was like, oh, it's like kind of coming in at the end of a movie. Like you're just seeing. Um, but what it did do was make me go, oh, maybe I should go back and read those other two issues that Venkman told me about. Or maybe I should just go back all the way to issue one and like see what's going on. That's a successful comic book when you can give it to someone, they don't have the backstory. It's like, here, just read this. And when the time that they're done, they're not totally confused, but rather they're like, ooh, I want to know more. And that's what this comic did successfully for me. Is I go, oh, I wish I was following this story even more. And if people are willing to go invest in back issues, that means they're typically willing to invest in the next issue as well. And so Mark Waid is an old journeyman writer. Clearly, he knows what he's doing. I don't think this book was the greatest thing since sliced bread, like some of you guys have been talking about. But I don't think books like this are supposed to be. Like ongoing series aren't supposed to be the most amazing thing you've ever read, right? It's just meant to be really solid, fun entertainment and make you look forward to the next issue next month. And this book does that really well. Um, Dan Mora is obviously one of the big talents in the industry. Um, I did have a complaint that I thought I was going to voice to you when I started reading the book, and
Okay.
that is starting here. I opened up the first page and I was like, "Oh, Dan." Like I I just noticed I was like, "Man, I feel like Dan is phoning it in." And I'm like, "He's drawing more than one comic a month." So clearly we're not getting his full effort. And this particular page showed it, but as I went through the book and as the story kept going, I felt like as the art got better and better for me. Um, I really love the coloring in this book.
I love
Tamara,
how he draws. It makes the robot seem so freaking tall.
yeah, this is a good shot. Tamara Bonvillain is someone that I've had my issues with on a personal level. I think she's not a nice person, or whatever, but her coloring is on point. And one of the things I love about the coloring in this book in particular
How bright it
is that
is.
it brings back, it echoes the old four color printing of older comics where the colors were always really bright because you didn't have so many shades to work with. So you always had that sort of like Crayola bright colors. Here, clearly, we with the digital coloring, we can see the different shades. All that palette is there to work with it, but she still manages to keep it like the bright comic book look. And knowing this is a Silver Age kind of homage, I think that even works better for it. Um,
The great thing is now we're on issue 15. So you can go back Comixology and get the other ones for cheap.
Maybe DC and Marvel don't really work that way, like Image does.
It's been a
Um,
few months.
yeah, but
This
they
was coming out end of last year.
yeah, but they don't like really discount their books that way, like the indies do. Um, I love also how this ends. Again, Mark uh, Wade doing the classic comic trope of like the last panel is,
Yep.
like cliffhanger, and we see Robin's being, about to crash into a wall. So you're like, oh, what's gonna happen next? Stay tuned next month, kids. This book is classic comics. I didn't love this book, but I really enjoyed it. And as an ongoing type of book, if I were the editor at DC Comics and Mark Waid, like I would have almost nothing but praise for this book because it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's very solid. Um, it makes me want to go back and read previous issues to like learn what was going on. It makes me want to continue and follow where it's going to happen next. Um, and it just tells an entertaining story that's very approachable. Like I didn't feel like this book was delving into like, I don't know, like complicated.
Modernized telling it. Silver
it,
Age.
it didn't delve into like complicated narratives of like let's tell a really political story about, like, it just no, it's just about heroes fighting bad guys. Real simple things that kids can understand because kids, their view of the world is very shallow, so they don't understand some of these greater concepts.
The
This
next
book
issue. Dude, eventually the next issue, you're gonna see now. Next issue, new Mesa. He's like, oh, the rich people can afford to build back their buildings. They'll be fine. It's what insurance for.
And I'm not even it's funny. I'm not even talking about like the complaints that we always have with like I'm just saying like those more complex ideas that you don't really start understanding until you become an adult and seeing how the world works. That's why children's stories have to be very simple because they need to be able to relate to it. And in their world is like they get up, they go to school, they come home, they go play, they eat dinner, they go sleep. Like they don't
Yeah, I think
they
this is like every 2 weeks.
so my point was, I guess, like I like when a comic book is very approachable that way. Like you're not requiring the reader to like have a greater understanding about higher concepts. But at the same token, it doesn't feel dumbed down. It doesn't feel like, oh, this is only going to be liked by stupid people that don't know anything. It's not like that. It just focuses on the basics and it just shifts it into overdrive. So
So
bravo, Mark Wade. You made a really fun book. I can see why people are excited
yeah.
about this series.
The next issue comes out June 20th, which sucks because it's so the last one is because this one we're reviewing now came out last week, the 16th. So I'm like, I gotta wait a whole month. Yeah, that's so it's. I mean, it's good. I mean, as I said, like you can go back and you can actually go check out the issues one through
Yeah, speaking
what
of
do they call
Titans, here they are right here.
it? Ooh, the other thing is that Mark Wade, because he's doing Silver Age, he was able to do a crossover with Joshua Williams's story, and he brought in a character that was part of the whole Lazarus Island, that Robin was doing with Joshua Williamson. He was able to connect it because this character that was the demon Neza, that took place in the past, and then that led to a whole Lazarus planet thing. But
So isn't
but
this
this is the Titans spotlight. Yeah, this is when the issue one
isn't
came
but
out.
isn't this all the characters that were just right here? Oh, except Arsenal, I guess.
They're older now.
Right, but you were saying like these non team. Wally West is on
These
Titans. Isn't that Aqualad? Isn't that Don Troy? And then we fast forward. Don't we
Well, I
have
guess he's brought. Zach had
uh,
said they brought up that one of the years that he's back continuity. That
yeah,
Garth.
it looks like we have Aqualad, we got Donna Troy, we got Flash. Like, so you can
Donna's
see why
you
I'm
see Don.
confused.
This is 2000's costume for Donna Troy. Who is Troya with the stars, the galaxy? That's when she was killed in the graduation one story. And we did a retrospective on.
It's also
Uh,
the 2023 costume of Donna Troy.
because her costume that she wore before this, prior to this, was a red one. You saw that was the Silver Age. It was just more like the late early '90s, late 2000s, I'd say.
Right, but I don't follow the Titans, and they could change the costumes at any single time. So, like, nothing.
Well, that's your fault then for not following them.
My point is, like, I don't, I don't look at it and go, oh well, that because Titans is just being released. So, how do I know what they're doing with them? Um,
Return
apparently,
to
Undead
Titans by
says
Tom Taylor. It was Preach Fest. Yeah.
he says that they
And
killed off
Titans.
Wally West again.
Spoilers. Anybody hasn't read this first issue,
I haven't
but
read it
I was
yet.
I was talking to Zach about that. That's probably because they're gonna tie it into Cy Spurrier's run, which starts at 801.
So that was that. Any you got anything else to say about the book, or any comments about what I said about the
Like I
book?
said, Dan Mora is like one of the most top tier talented artists working at DC. I like him more than Phil Menace, sorry, Jorge Menace.
Oh, you're smoking
I
crack.
think I think Dan Mora is a better artist. And then teaming him up with Mark Wade is probably one of the best decisions that DC's ever freaking done. Mark Wade just putting out a book that has nothing to do with anything that's world politics, all that crap. No virtue signaling. It's just it's a oh yeah, you said a homage to Silver Age. So
All right. Speaking of homages to other things, our next book we'll be talking about is Batman White Knight Presents Generation Joker. Because if you don't have at least half a dozen or more syllables in your title, it's just not long enough. Um,
well, the Joker was spray painted on.
so it was originally supposed to be Batman White Knight Presents Generation.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So this is a continuation of the storyline that Sean Gordon Murphy is weaving throughout his White Knight series. He's kind of developing his own little mini universe, and I think the
17
last,
plus mature. Look at that. I didn't notice that. So I didn't forget it was a black label.
yeah, it's the White Knight books have all been Black Label. The 17 plus, I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm not actually trying to think of why that would even be. We'll go through the book again, but so Sean has really been building his universe, and it became really clear on the last White Knight, the with the White Knight Beyond. Um, and I wasn't expecting this book to really continue the story here. I was expecting more of a spin-off, and it is a spin-off, but it's like a direct continuation of the events that happened in Batman Beyond. So if you, it's gonna be spoilers. Obviously, we're talking about if you haven't read Batman Beyond, um, you're not going to be necessarily aware of 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 certain events and things that they are. That's another thing this book could have done that we were talking about. Like maybe had like a little
Beginning it, yeah.
blurb explaining
Or a recap.
because you
Yeah.
start here and these kids, well, this is the Joker's kids, and they're being taken to this place, and there's a person talking to them, and he wants to, like, I want to show you my place, and it's, oh, ta-da, it's the Joker. Now you may not understand anything what's going on. This It's the Joker, but it's also not the Joker because it's a hologram. It's an AI hologram, which the book doesn't initially explain to you. So this book really requires you to kind of been like following the story. And it makes sense that if you're buying this book, you're probably been buying the White Knight books. But again, that's a foolish thing to do to assume that people aren't jumping on here, right? This might be the person that's like, I'm just a big Mirka and Dolfo fan, so I'm going to try this book out. Um, so Joker is wanting to show his kids who he is. He's dead, but he's got this AI. And now the Sean Gordon Murphy Joker is not the Joker that comic book fans are used to. He's more of the he's closer, I would say, to the Jack Napier Joker of the Tim Burton Batman. And as a matter of fact, this character is Jack Napier. Also, um, in the White Knight series, he's pretty much kind of cured of his insanity. So he goes back to being just Jack Napier. So it's a bit different. You have to kind of roll with the punches. You have to kind of understand that Sean Murphy is not telling a normal continuity accurate type of Batman. This is kind of his retake, his version. And you have to be kind of open to that or not. If you're a person who's like, nope, I only like Batman one way and it's this way and it's accept no substitutions, this is not going to work for you. Batman has to go away. We get we get Diana Prince, who I don't know if she's Wonder Woman or not, but she works for the FBI.
Yeah.
So that's all I know. Her partner is um, John Stewart. Don't know if he's Green
Yep.
Lantern, but you can see
Nope.
here on the cover he wears a green jacket. Like, I don't know if that's just a
FBI. Yeah.
nod. Again, the comic doesn't explain a lot of things, and part of that might be that Sean is not a comic nerd himself, right? Like he's a writer and
Or
artist, but he doesn't think of traditional mechanisms because
the
he's kind of
yeah
new. And this
the
isn't
end
even
of
written by him. It's written by his wife. She probably knows even
but
less.
he well he is credited with the story. She wrote the rest of this. She wrote it down. But like I said, you think they don't converse? They're constantly together talking. I'm pretty sure she probably gets ideas from him. So
Well,
I mean, it's not solely by
they
him.
they explain in the back of the book. It's not just her. There's another guy that they brought
Yeah,
in, Clay McCormick.
yeah, the help
A-
right too.
And so this is a story which is an idea by Sean, which was about a road trip that the Joker
Yeah.
takes his kids on. So it's very possible that he just had like a real rough story idea and said, "Hey, and
Hmm.
you guys go flesh it out," which is probably what happened.
Yeah.
Also, putting his name in the credits is going to sell books, right? Even if he wrote like one word, he can put himself in as a writer, and people are going to now want to buy the book. It, it, Katana Collins and Clay McCormick aren't selling squat.
Batman created by Bob Kane with Bill Finger. Nice.
So
At least he keep yeah, that.
there's so much going on here. Like Batman has to go away because Diana
Well,
Prince is now with the FBI. She's got a special job based on the events of what happened in Batman Beyond. He is supposed to be in prison, but they're going to commute his sentence if he does this work for them. So that's why he can't be a part of this story, which is convenient. I'm assuming it's also going to
Tuesday.
be a part of the next White Knight series that
It's
Sean's working
yeah.
on. But
Yeah. The other cool thing at the end, for those who, if you remember at the end of the Batman Beyond, he hasn't met Superman yet in this universe, but there is mention of Superman, other heroes. So that threw me off when they see John and Diana show up, but John's not a Green Lantern. So is Hal a Green Lantern in this? Are there any Green Lanterns?
we
So,
don't know. Um,
but this is gonna be a Harley Quinn story,
yeah, this
just
is gonna
like
be a
the
Harley
one.
Quinn story.
Yeah,
I'm just giving an
yeah,
explanation of
yeah,
like Batman shows up in the
yeah.
beginning and then he's removed, and as to why. Again, if you've read Batman Beyond, we know why. Like it makes sense. But if you haven't
It's
read
like the
Batman
Flash.
Beyond, then you're like, why is Batman here? Why is he leaving? Like I don't. This doesn't make any sense. So it was something I was noticing.
Yeah,
Um,
isn't it like the Flash and Barry's gone the whole episode, and they have Iris and the girls.
so the kids run away with their AI dad, and he wants to show them where he grew up. We get this message here where the Joker has left for Harley, um, explaining what he's doing. He's basically says he only has like a week to live because his AI it's a really contrived explanation. His AI program allows me He says the AI program that allows me to exist is a miracle, but it can't exist for long without an immense power source. And the drive
It's
I'm
degrading.
stored in is not strong enough. So what I'm saying is I'm dying. And at the rate of that I'm degrading, I'll be gone forever within a week. So it's really contrived. First thing that went through my head is like, wait, you need a strong power source, and Bruce Wayne can't provide this. I don't get it. Anyways, move on. For the story purposes, so he's got like a week, takes the kids on a road trip, kind of kidnaps them. I'll accept that he's not really kidnapping him because he just exists on this little pocket drive, so they're kind of just running away with him. Um, and they're kind of bored as kids would be. He's trying to show them his past, but his past is not matching up with what he thinks. So you're wondering, is there like a corruption in his AI? Is it just because he was crazy and he doesn't remember the past? Is someone messing with him? Um, Harley is gonna go try to find her kids, so she dresses up in her new Batman inspired colors, Harley
Yeah,
costume,
yeah.
and
Jack keeps saying like everything's wrong. This isn't the way it's supposed to be. So is he from glitching or Sony out messing with him?
yeah, and so she's got her little Bat Tech goggles. And again, this is you got to read this book from the perception of like this is not the DC universe I know and understand, and be willing to go along for that ride. I did think this page was kind of funny because she's like, I got to call for help. So she calls, and it's like Red Hood and the new Robin girl like show up. They're like, hey, how can we help? And she's like, oh, go, you can watch my dogs. They're like, what?
What?
It was a
And the
bit
guy's
of
like
like,
puppies.
yeah, it was a bit of levity, like, and I was like, okay, I'm fine with that. Little silliness can be fun
So,
sometimes. She's got her own
s-
little cycle, and who else shows up to interfere with her but
Neo Joker.
Neo Joker, who, spoiler for those of you who haven't read the previous books, is the other Harley Quinn. Um, because Sean,
The one you guys see in the current continuity. You see the one that she's just going around doesn't need no Joker.
yeah, yes. So what Sean did in his brilliance was split Harley into two people, and not literally. They are two different people, but their
Yeah, yeah.
identities was split, and explains quite well why the Harley Quinn from like the animated series and the Harley Quinn that's currently in the comics, like why they're so radically different. In Sean's world, it's because they're actually two different people. They just call themselves the same thing, and so yeah,
The thing was that Joker was so delusional that he took this girl from it was a bank teller. He was holding up the bank, thought it was Harley Quinn,
yeah,
and she
and
basically
so
she felt like a nobody, so she stuck with him.
the Harley Quinn that we see in the DC comics, this girl is more like that. And it's a really cool thing. And then this kind of shocked me that we got
I Ivy shows up.
Ivy shows up, and it's I thought it was kind of cool because in the White Knight we don't get to see too many of the other DC characters too much. Like it's pretty much really Bat specific. And I know Ivy is a Batman villain, but it was weird seeing her show up outside of a Batman story. So I think that's kind of cool. Much like I like the Adventures of the Batman comic with the Bruce Timm. Um, I like how we'll get to see like his version is he's like, oh, here's how he would have done Red Hood. I kind of like that with the Sean Gordon Murphy stuff. Is like, oh, how would you do these characters? Um, so we get more Joker taking his kids around. Um, there's this old place that was a nightclub. Turns out it's not a nightclub anymore, but it's whatever this fun house. I don't know what this is. Things are weird, but the kids want to go in. They end up investigating, and it turns out there's like this little puppet show thing, and it's these characters, and you immediately realize like the Dragon Man, the Bird Man, the Nightmare Man, the Split Man. You're like, oh, these are Batman villains.
Yep.
um, and what's
I'm
going
part of the
on.
story. Yeah.
And he's telling this story, and it's revealed that it's the ventriloquist's daughter, and she's really pissed
Revenge.
off because apparently she blames the Joker for the death of her father, um, and So the key, and she says to him like, "Oh, since you're a hologram and I can't kill you, I'm gonna kill your kids." And then that's the last panel. Again, following a classic kind of comic tropey cliffhanger. Um, and so it's gonna be up to them to somehow
Yeah,
survive.
it is really kind of crazy because the place they're in was supposed to be a club. He says like, "There's a Met Your Mother," as you saw that in the was it Batman White Knight? I think or was it Harley Quinn? It might have been Harley Quinn series. And yeah, it's supposed to look that way he met his mother. When he first became or was about to become the Joker. No, so yeah, it is kind of crazy. Like I said, Marker Andolfo, whatever her name is, not the best artist, but I thought it actually the art kind of grew on me. It wasn't too bad.
Not too bad at all. I am not a Mirka Andolfo fan either, and I was really dreading. I was like, "You got who to do this book?"
Could
But
have Ross,
this is the
could have
best
Rossmo.
Mirka Andolfo art I've seen. So she's really stepped up her game, in my opinion, based on some of the previous stuff that I've seen her do. Um, what do you think of the book uh,
I
overall?
thought it was a pretty exceptional book. Pretty well done. Uh, I know it's not Sean's story
Oh, it doesn't matter.
or per se. Well, sometimes the books do suffer when it's not Sean. Red Hood was a really good example of that. No, that was not great at all. That was horrible. Uh,
No, Red Hood
but
was Sean,
no, it wasn't. It was someone else.
different artist. I thought he wrote it.
I don't think he wrote it. Let me look it up. Either way, I didn't like it. It was not that great. It was one of the worst of the series. Anyway, so yeah, so this is Jack Napier is basically his hologram personality was left of his because the real Joker's dead, real Jack's dead. And him just wanting to spend time with his kids. He's only got a week left. He's like, dude, like just let me I want to show you who I am. So he's afraid that Jackie is going to become just like him. He sees it. He doesn't want another Joker. He doesn't want his kids to be happy. And the only thing that's really confusing about this is like Batman or not is basically is Bruce and Harley, are they like an romantically linked or are they just kind of like living together?
I think they're romantically linked. Or maybe I don't know actually. No, because there was a scene where you think that they're
Yeah,
romantically linked, but then it got
she
revealed that it
reveals
was
the Joker.
Joker was
Yeah,
controlling. Yeah.
yeah.
Um. So no, I don't think they are. Um.
But she did. I mean, when Batman went to jail though, she kept showing up, trying to basically and they are married though.
Yes, they are married. I
Yeah,
think. Yeah, but I think
yeah.
it's more like a marriage of convenience.
Yes,
Um. Yeah. So the writer of the Red Hood was Clayton McCormick. So that's the
yeah,
co-writer of this book.
yeah. I did like Katana Collins, when she wrote Harley Quinn. So
Yeah, I
I'm
thought Harley
hoping,
Quinn was better.
yeah,
Um.
than this.
So far. I mean, it's only one issue.
Yeah,
I can definitely feel a downgrade. But then again, I feel a downgrade on the Batman, the White Knight Beyond. Um, I don't think that was Sean's best stuff.
I liked
So
it for what it was. I
I
mean, it was a
enjoyed it.
different spin.
I'm just saying I
I
felt a
knew that Derek
downgrade.
Powers was. Yeah, I like how they incorporated Derek Powers. We never really knew in the Batman Beyond cartoon. We just know that Derek Powers basically he had basically merged his company with Wayne, and then basically Wayne was too old to run it, so Derek was running over it. But having been that Derek Powers knew that Bruce Wayne was Batman and made all the equipment for him in secret, and Wayne Powers or Wayne or whatever Wayne, Wayne Enterprises. Yeah, like that was a different spin on it though. But I like the fact that Terry, at the end. got the kick ass. It was cool. You get to see Ace, the Bat Hound, more in that series too.
Yeah, but just showing stuff is not the same as writing. Like, yeah, there's cool stuff. I'm
I
just
no
saying that the writing was weaker.
no mm, I didn't like Curse the White Knight. I I liked Batman White Knight, and I liked the Batman Beyond the White Knight.
So Sean Gordon
No,
Murphy is fallible to you.
he is.
That's what I'm saying. That's all
He
I'm
is.
saying. Like, um, so,
I never hold a man on a pedestal. I want to because
but to me,
he will never. Yeah,
this feels like even lesser so than Sean's. Like, there was just certain things, and I don't know who's. Whenever you have co-writers involved, it's very difficult to say if it's Clayton or Katana.
I don't know,
Um,
man. It's my nightmare when puppets start attacking me.
I did think the puppets were cool looking.
I know,
Um,
right?
but overall, I mean, whatever. I hate the fact that I hate to feel like you can't say something negative about something because it'll make people defensive and be like, "No, it's really good." And it's like, yes, you can still be really good and not perfect. This book was fun. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna keep buying it, but it's not the same like blow me freaking out of my socks the way the original Dark Knight was. Not at all. Um, so this is a solid book. Credit to Mirka for upping her game and doing, you know, better art than I've ever seen her do.
I'm just waiting for that drop. The hint, or that the brother, son of Jack, is gay. It's because it's current DC.
Yeah, but this Sean has full control over all this,
I
so
know, I know, but it's like I'm just waiting.
no, I don't. If that happens, then it's gonna because Sean wants to. I don't think DC is gonna mandate any of that. Um, yeah.
He's a computer nerd.
Undead says
That's what
that
they did.
this is the her art was the best I've seen in comics. I'm assuming that she means the best of her art. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm assuming Quinn, you don't mean like the best art overall of all artists, but um, so very
well,
cool.
if you don't read DC comic books, you just read all the indie stuff. Maybe this is better than some of the indie art.
I think the best art is in the indie comics.
Yeah,
Um, and even the best art in mainstream comics are just using artists that do indies, like Dan Mora
yeah,
and boy Jorge Jimenez just got finished doing that Nemesis is his indie book.
yeah. He's returning to Batman, is he?
Probably. I mean, Nemesis is over, so he's got to keep doing work, and I'm sure Batman pays well, or as
Right.
well as anything else. So why wouldn't you? Um, so yeah, this is a fun book. Um, there's the next issue. It looks like we're gonna see.
Ivy and Duo Dent, or not that Duo Dent. It's right, Neo Joker.
Do you think they're lesbian lovers?
I think so.
Me too. um,
It makes sense because the normal Harley was straight, and also this one's lesbian. Okay,
mhm.
whatever. Well, they were friends in the what was it though? Curse the White Knight, or was it Harley Quinn? Harley Quinn. That was a Harley Quinn issue. That's what it was. They were in there.
Here we have some samples from the next issue. Um, there's the alternate cover, Mirka's cover.
The digital. I love that. So of
Yeah, it's a good cover. Um, and there's the Dan Mora
course, though,
cover.
when I see that, it's like every time I see the Dan Moore, don't show me Dan Moore art or Sean Gordon Murphy art on covers, and then make me look at Merca and Delphi and it's like that's cruel.
What would be cool is if Murphy could get Dan Mora to do one of his side books.
Being like they could just take turns. Like he gets another artist, he gets Frank Clowney or Frank no, what's his name? Oh, can't remember his name is now. Oh, so late. Who's the other Frank? Not
Gary
Miller.
Frank?
Gary Frank, that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, Gary Frank's too slow, and he's working with Jeff Johns all the time. But Dan Mora seems to be
Oh,
able to do all these projects.
oh,
I
he'll be
and
great.
I think Dan's style fits well within the Murphyverse. Um, you know, he got oh, what was that guy's name that did that the Harley book? Um, always forgetting his name, and he's like one of my favorite artists. Um,
I don't remember either. It's been Marco Silvestri would be cool if he was doing some colors. Dude, there's times I look at Dan Moore's art and I look at Marco Cicchetto's art and like, dude, like I just can't decide who I like more.
Matteo Scalera, that's the artist.
Oh,
He got Matteo
Matteo
Scalera
Scalera.
to do a whole series, and I think Matteo's one of my favorite artists in the business. Um, and it was the Harley Quinn book that made me realize that because I was like, ah, we're getting a White Knight book, and it's not Sean. Like, ah, what the hell? And
Yeah.
remember, you and I had like we fought in the background about this book, and I was like, I'm not getting a stupid Harley Quinn book. Screw that. Like, and you're like, oh, you should try it. Like, and I was like, fine, whatever. And I got it, and it turned out to be good, and then the art was amazing, and I was like, oh, who's this guy doing the art? All right, so last not least, one of my favorite series. I can't unfortunately say it's my favorite series anymore. Um,
Let's end it on a sad note.
what's sad note? What are you talking about?
Samurai Doggy.
Oh, it's kind of yeah, it's kind of sad. So this was my favorite series, and it's not because the series itself has gotten bad, but just because Animal Castle is so freaking unbelievably amazing. But Samurai Doggy number 6. Um,
Fighting against his brother.
he's fighting his brother. Um, the whole issue is pretty much a big fight. It's been building up to this. Um, and Samurai Doggy
He
is losing the
goes
fight.
Wolverine berserk.
Yeah. Um, I love this little shot here of Ray, the 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 robot vulture, whatever this bird is supposed to be. He's just like pecking at him as he lies dead. Um, and then he like gets up and he starts berserking out. No, doggy, don't. Sorry, no, doggy, control your rage. Oh no, not again! And he's just
He's off bow
rawr.
legs.
And so this is where he gets his Hulkamania, Hulk out movement. That was always synonymous with for those of you that remember old school WWF wrestling, where Hulk Hogan would always get the shit kicked out of him, and then at the end of the match, he would Hulk out and summon this inner strength where he would defeat whoever he was fighting. It became a total trope. Anyways, that reminded me of this, where it's like Samurai Doggy's like roar, um, and goes to town. Um, and again, it's just like one big long fight. Um, destroys his brother's robot arm, and then
Just kills him.
bites out his jugular. Yeah. But then he snaps out of his rage, and he's like, "Oh, wait, what? No, this isn't what I wanted. No." Um,
Ooh.
and so that's the end. But then we see the mysterious figure show up under the umbrella, his
And
little robot uh,
we don't understand. Yeah.
attaché, and they're
Yeah.
like, "We only
I'm,
found this one clue." And he's like, "Who is this? We don't know, sir." Is it?
I'm wondering, is that the guy who abducted the siblings, their father?
That seems like a
Like, is he
very
gonna try?
plausible
Like,
guess. Yeah.
was it revealed in the very first issue that that the guy who killed his mother and stole his brothers and sisters was a human? or is it a dog like Samurai Doggy and his brothers?
Well, it was
Like
definitely
his
humanoid, but as we've
yeah.
seen in this world, everyone kind of grows up to be humanoid. Um,
Makes me wonder if it's actually his biological father took the kids to kill his mother.
so we don't know who this is, but it definitely could be
Yeah,
that
yeah,
guy. Um, does anyone else know about this? No, sir. We killed all the witnesses. Right.
good.
Um, now, also, it could be is one of the other siblings because it looks like he's about to make a call, right? He pulls out the thing, he's like, blip. And then we cut over to a different location where a robot is talking to someone else saying, Commander, it's your brother Bloodhound.
So yeah, yeah. If it
So
is,
I'm
yeah,
thinking this guy is Bloodhound, whoever that is. But um, and then they have a talk and about how Brother Maltese is dead. He was murdered. Um, now these guys don't apparently know who Doggy is yet.
yeah.
They're like, who did this? Um, and so they have some communications, and his brother says, very well, kill all the remaining witnesses, including the security guards. So he just shoots his own guards because there can be no witnesses. It's like, wow, something big's going on. If you're that committed to your cause. Um, and then we get a scene of a person washing their blood off. Now, I can't tell. Is this the person that we just saw that was under the
Umbrella
umbrella? I'm thinking it was.
and wash their hands.
Yeah, because it's like sniff, sniff, um, Maltese. So um, we see all these other dead people, presumably witnesses. Um, everyone's getting killed, and then there's this Aunt Lily. I
Yeah,
don't know
there's
who
yeah,
she is. Um,
the sister of one of the
I'm not sure because she talks about blood. Um,
blood missed you. Blood called her. He's calling everybody. See the phone down the bottom to ring you too. Blood's calling everybody, letting them know.
oh yeah, I didn't notice that. She's hanging up on the phone. That's why you got to pay attention to the details. Yeah, so basically, I guess everyone's getting called up. There's this gladiator person, um, and then we see Doggy at the gravesite, and this is where the kid who got killed on what issue 4, and
Yep.
he's kind of they're having some moments at the tombstone.
And the
I think that was the
mother's there.
mom crying,
Yep.
um, and Ray. I just love Ray. I recorded some moments spent with Cairo on this chip. I hope it brings you some comfort. And they start to walk away. Um,
She's like, kill the
and
bastards.
she's like, please don't let them keep doing this. Someone needs to stop them. And they were going to go somewhere else. And she's like, don't let my son's death be in vain. He was a happy child, sometimes a little naughty, but he had a good heart. He just wanted to play. And Doggy thinks about it. And Ray's like, what are you doing, Doggy? The village is the other way. Focus in on his eyes. We have unfinished business to take care of. And they're heading back to the city. And it's the end with a question mark. And there we go. Tehillim says, "Did Ash have to put down Samurai Doggy?" No, I didn't have to put it down. Not sure. I'm not sure I understand the context of that question.
Well,
Um.
it's just so sad. You got to put the book down because you're crying.
Oh yeah.
Or there's a
I will.
dog
I
putting it
will
down.
neither. I will neither confirm nor deny.
You, that's more like even Black Cat joke. He's like, time to put down the dog.
But Undead says, "Is the book canned after by Aftershock with no pay of artists?" I don't know what the status of this book is. Um,
There's supposed to be at least one more issue. Um, at least so far, they've only said 7 issues. They were gonna collect the first volumes 1 through 6, I guess, into a trade format. But if there's only 7 issues, uh, oh man,
I'm not sure. Yeah, there's 7 issues, but that's according to League of Comic Geeks, and
to
their
be
information
determined.
is just what's submitted to them, so it's not always accurate. Aftershock is going through some really big problems right now, so yeah, anything's up in the air. The only good news is this is a creator-owned book. From what I understand, I don't know what their contracts are or whatever, but I'm assuming Chris Tex and Santos, if they own the rights to all this, then theoretically they could take this book somewhere else. I don't know if it has enough pull for another publisher to want to publish it. I don't know where there's going. I'm gonna follow it where whatever. Hopefully, Aftershock can do some more. Um, I very much love this book. This is just I just this is to me like almost everything I like about comics. Um, I love the imagination. I love the art, the design. It's just I look forward to pouring through it. It's a type of book also that I can go through again and again. It's just light enough to where I should say not just light. It's light enough to where I can enjoy going through it again and again, but yet resonating enough to where it's not just fluff. Um, Gilliam says Aftershock is working on some shocking after moments. Not sure
Aftershock, After Dark.
what. So Aftershock is advertising new books. I mean, we got this Foulness in the Walls, Bulls of Beacon Hill, Fear of a Red Planet. Um, so hopefully they're still doing business. Hopefully there's more. I'll try to follow these guys on. Well, I do follow them on Twitter, but I'm gonna actually try to interact with them and ask them um, and see what's going on with the book. I I did find out apparently there's a Ultra Mega Volume 2 is in the works. So that just reminded me of that. So see, Twitter does have its uses. Undead says it's a furry Ronin. It's not a furry. Well, I guess he's a furry. I'm not a furry, but he might be a furry. Well, no, because that'd be a human dressed up as an animal. So there you go. What are your thoughts on Samurai Doggy? You came late to the party, but you seem to enjoy it so far.
I'm curious to see where it's gonna go for the next issue. I mean, like now that he's gonna have to face all of his siblings. He's gonna be like he's gonna kill them one by one. Are they gonna bum rush him?
Yeah,
Like
this had a
where's the
very
end game of this?
it had a very like Tarantino type of vibe to me,
It's
like
Kill Bill.
Kill Bill, right? Yeah. At the end, it's like making the phone call, get all of them together. We got to kill
at,
this
at
guy.
at the end, he finds out that his father is the one that took his brothers and sisters and left him behind. Give him that claw in his face, or his eye is basically blind.
Yeah, yeah, you could be
Then he
right.
has to kill. Then he has to fight his father.
Mm.
And he's
I
like,
love this
Doggy,
book.
Doggy, I am your father. No.
I love this book so
or or
much.
maybe or maybe the villain's gonna be a cat.
Oh, that would be so cliche. I'll be disappointed that the villain was a cat. That'd just be so on the nose. Oh man. All right. Well, that's it with our comic books tonight. Any final things to talk about? It's not even midnight yet.
It's 1:22 a.m. here.
No, I'm talking about here
Uh,
in the
well,
West Coast, Best Coast.
well, for the people who are watching your channel on the Central and Eastern,
Um,
I don't know anybody who is in our chat tonight or is actually watching. Maybe Undid Quinn is is West Coast. I don't know. Tehillim is definitely over in Australia. It's gotta be like freaking like what 1:20 in the afternoon, maybe, or maybe two. I'm not sure. I have to see what Australia time is. It all depends what he's on, what time zone. Australia time. Look at the world clock here. It is if you're in Perth, Western Australia, that is 2:23 p.m. So yeah, that's gotta be crazy too. Like jumping on, like these guys are going streaming like it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I never liked that. Like even like people like Gary who does a newer or neurotic, he does a nooner. I'm like, I'm not even like looking to be on YouTube at noon. I'm busy. it's like it's like something you watch in the replay. So
yeah. Well, you can't make videos for everybody, right?
yep.
You just hope to attract the people that it does work for. So, I'm grateful to anyone that's here. I would just like to talk about comics. Um, what's coming out next week?
Next week, my
Or
friend.
this week, I
Next
should
week.
say.
This week.
We got anything interesting? I only have 4 books on my pull list.
I'm reading The Exiled, which is the Wesley Snipes book through Whatnot.
Oh, okay.
Been enjoying that. I've also been checking out The Expanse, Dragon Tooth, which is a continuation of the final season of the show. Nightclub comes out this week too. There's a lot of books come out. There's Nightclub, Ambassadors, Turtles, Usagi. So that's coming out this week.
What the
So
hell is
those
this?
by Taboo. I'm skipping it.
Daredevil and Echo, #1.
When I first saw it, I was like, I read it as Toe Jam and Earl. Taboo and Earl.
What?
Why isn't she Daredevil? Well, wait, it's Echo. It's not Electra. It has nothing to do.
Oh, okay. It says here in the thing,
Yeah.
reunited at last with Echo, herself fresh from a brief time as the host of the Phoenix Force. So I guess Marvel quickly undid that. She was
Yeah.
I thought she was still Phoenix. I'm like, that was my biggest thing.
Yeah.
I think Echo's a dumb character, but be that as it may, I'm like, why is Daredevil teaming up with the Phoenix? She's like a cosmic
It's
level entity.
well,
Like,
didn't you know this is hear no evil, see no evil. Oh, this is yeah. That yeah, he's Gene Wilder, or should I say, she's Gene Wilder, and he's Richard Pryor.
no, I just was like, I just thought she was still
I,
Phoenix. So I was like,
I'm,
this
I'm
doesn't
just
make any
I'm
sense.
well, I'm just laughing because the fact that exactly she can see but she can't hear. He can hear but he can't see.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that too. Uh, taboo.
Come on, your name's not Taboo. What's your real name? Don't give me the Taboo. My name's Taboo. No, no, not because that is not copyright. You cannot copyright that name.
well, you can. Yeah,
Your pen pal name.
you can't copyright your real name.
Uh, it's on my license.
Yeah. But someone else can have your exact name. You can't like proprietarize it and be like, only I can have this name. Anyways, I just saw that and I was like, still thinking she was Phoenix. And so at least Marvel recognized She's not Phoenix. I was like, this is so stupid, or the editor's so bad.
Uh, and Nesenti's returning to doing a throwback issue for Storm with the original X-Men during her Mohawk years. And I guess it's supposed to be the '90s throwback, maybe. Not sure,
It would be the '80s if they're Mohawk years.
but it's
Uh,
Ann Nesenti taking her turn now in the retro replay.
she didn't have her powers in the Mohawk. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
I don't know, but
Um,
it's not current. He said City Boy number comes out number 1. I don't care for that. Actually, the one I actually do want to read, back, and you're gonna hate me for this, is the other one. Like the not the City Boy, not the Vigil. It's the other one with the girl who can see spirits. Spirit. It's called it's Spirit something.
were you high?
What?
Were
It's
you
with DC Comics.
you want to read an Alyssa Wong book for what reason?
I want to see how long it is. No,
Okay.
I was
All
no.
right.
I read the thing. I was actually kind of hooked a little bit on the story lit, but I want to see how bad it gets
All right.
too. I'm not reading Hellcat. I have no interest in that. Uh, Fury, or furry, whatever you want to call it, furry fur. I have no desire for that either. The description for furry or fury is basically him battling against a villain, and it sounds like he's gonna be going traveling through time. I'm like, ugh. Supermassive by Kyle Higgins and Ryan Parrott. Matt Groom, Melissa Flores.
I love when they do descriptions like this where they say,
Yeah,
joined by superstar art team Danielle Di Niculo and Walter Biamonte. If I've never heard of you, you're not a superstar. Like, quit using the word superstar on just anybody. Like, come on. Anyways, I was just curious about this. I don't really like Kyle Higgins writing, but I
Ryan
really
Parrott's
like
on
what
though.
Kyle Higgins is doing with his Supermassive project. Um, for those of you that may not know, it started off with Radiant Black. He's got like multiple books. Um, I guess this is a one-shot crossover thing, but all of his books, what I love is that they're all in the same universe, and I'm big on shared superhero universe. Ryan Parrott writes one of the books. I forget the name of it. Rogue Sun. He writes Rogue Sun. So I kind of wish I had picked up that book, but I don't like Ryan Higgins stuff.
And thank you for that. Telling me that T is saying, he was saying Spirit World. So
Spirit World. Well, you tell me how it was. You go.
I went through
You.
I went through the first 6 issues of Tiny East Coats, Captain America. It was good. It was until issue 7 when they introduced the Daughters of Liberty, and then it went. Yeah, that's when it got horrible.
Yeah.
But
I
like I
tried
said,
to
it was
read
like
the
a
Ta-Nehisi Coates on my channel to make fun of it because I was looking for like something bad like America Chavez.
yeah.
I couldn't even get past like 2 issues because it was so freaking horrendous. I was like, this isn't even fun to make fun of. Anyways, that was me. I think Ta-Nehisi Coates is awful. But um, Darkwing Duck.
Yep.
I
Been
thought
enjoying that. It's been a fun little series. If you're a fan of the '90s cartoon, same humor, same style, same kind of storytelling. I do have to admit I have not read the other previous volume of this or run of this with by Aaron Sparrow. I'll be looking forward to reading that after this finishes.
someone at my comic book store. One of the guys there recommended me this book, Indigo Children. I don't really know anything about it, but he was all hot on it. It was like, "Oh, you gotta read this Indigo Children," and I was like, "All right." Um, I
They
gotta
go to
say,
find
like,
another Indigo
the
Children. Yeah,
the
so
cover does not sell me.
the description doesn't sell me either.
Well, it's yeah.
Let's
go
go.
back.
I want to go to issue one. I want to see what issue one says.
Let's
All
see.
right.
Series premiere: Radiant Black meets the Department of Truth in this action packed sci fi mystery epic as journalist Donovan Price hunts down the extraordinarily gifted Indigo children after their mysterious disappearance 15 years prior. Acclaimed creator Kurt Pyers, never heard of him, returns to Image for a brand new ongoing series with the creative team behind the smash hit series Youth, soon to be a show on Amazon Prime.
Okay. So if you like Department of Truth and you like Radiant Black, you're gonna like this.
I don't like when it's a mistake to use descriptors like this because it assumes that everyone's read Department of Truth and Radiant Black.
I
Like you
know. I
shouldn't
know.
you shouldn't do that. Like describe your book for what it is. But okay. Um
Kids that turn blue and have special powers.
Undead says Kyle Higgins just did his own Power Rangers. Fair
Pretty
enough.
much. Yeah.
I'm not against that. I just his writing is terrible for everything that I've read so far of his.
I'm just glad Cyber Frog wasn't four frogs. They're ninjas. But
Well, they could be samurai.
samurai
T-
frogs.
teenage cyber samurai frogs. Whatever. Um,
Samurai frogs in a turtle pond. Sorry, or a frog pond.
well, there's your Expanse book, The Dragon Tooth.
Vampire superpowers. Continuing Dan Abnett's run on taking Vampirella.
Here's your favorite book that you love,
I
DC
read the first. I read the
Ruby.
first issue, man. It wasn't bad. It wasn't offensive, but it was kind of bland.
That's Marguerite Bennett. She's super bland.
She's mid. Is that what
No,
you're
she's not
saying?
mid. She's not mid. She's below mid. Um, I don't know anything about Black Tape.
The Gargoyles is turned into Daredevil jail. Gargoyles? What the heck? I dropped it because there's just so much like they're like he may there's so many references to what happened at the end of the show. I never finished the whole entire show,
Oh, tell me
so
you're
there's a
getting
lot of stuff.
this.
Yeah,
You know you're
I
getting
just said that
this. Oh, I
he's
didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
continuing. Yeah, he's continuing the superpowers, basically the superpower teams, because she's now part of the Project Superpowers. So
Written.
Pascal Culinero from DC versus Vampires. I'm trying to remember. I guess he was the main artist. I guess so. Decent art. So they're taking continuing to dice a Vampirella trusty sidekick Dynamite, basically who helped out Vampirella in the Vampirella versus Red Sonja book. This is their sign to save a world that looks strangely similar to 1940s Earth. Well, 1940s Vampirella, nice. Right with crime and corruption, two-faced superheroes who don't take kindly to meddling from interdimensional to vampire aliens. Can Vampirella survive an onslaught of conflict from villains and heroes alike while solving a murder mystery and keeping her precious sidekick alive? Or precocious.
Hmm.
You've heard it both ways. It's 1940s, man. It's Dan Am. I love Dan Am's writing
Why does it say versus superpowers?
because, well, maybe they don't fully trust her. The whole thing is that they don't even fully trust her because she's a demon. They don't trust. They don't like magic. That was the whole thing for Vampire versus Red Sonja. Red Sonja was recruited to the Project Superpowers. For those who don't know who Project Superpowers is, basically a group of heroes from plural Earths. They're plucked from their Earth to join this basically a Justice League, a multiverse league. So,
Typical to Dynamite's MO, there's about a bazillion covers.
it's Vampirella. I think they'll sell a lot of them.
Yeah, and their Project Superpowers is a good um if you like
That's
the
another
old
old.
Golden Age style.
Yeah, yeah.
uh superheroes. That's Project Superpowers. It's and I think Alex Ross is one of the. I think it's Alex Ross, one of the creators of it.
I thought it was Ron Friends.
Mm-mm.
But I remember like Project Superpowers is like is old public domain.
It does have some public domain characters. Some of them are
Yeah,
original.
Miss Fairy was the other one. She's like a Catwoman kind of as or Black Cat character.
Oh,
The
this is
Exile. Yeah, that's the one I would. Yeah, his name's Roach. That's his name. He's yeah trying to catch a serial killer, but instead finds alien refugees that have been taken to Earth for 5,000 years. Yeah, kind of
interesting.
spoilers if you haven't been reading it. Um, but I love how every cover though they do is like a homage to a movie. Like they're gonna have aliens, I think, be one of the variant covers, and then he's gonna have him Men in Black. Yeah,
Man, this
They Live
whatnot
is another one.
publishing. This whatnot publishing seems to come out of nowhere. There's another book they got, Quested.
Yeah, Skip was talking about. I think he knows somebody that's works at whatnot, or what's that? Where is it? What's not? Yeah,
Whatnot.
whatnot. Yeah, very new independent comic book company.
Hmm. Hmm. This looks like a Scotty Young style art.
Yeah, politics meets superpowers. What the book describes, pretty much. Yeah, that was Project Superpowers because a lot of them are prudes because they believe in science. They don't believe in magic. So when they came across a vampirella, oh, she's a demon. She's a vampire. She's like, no. It's like I'm not. Yeah, this shows how prejudiced they are. Within Temptation is actually based off the actual band called Within Temptation. The Scarlet Twilight though caught my interest. Really
Yeah,
indie Red Five.
this has caught my interest too. Interesting cover.
Golden Age All American Crime Buster.
A thrilling cyber pulp adventure.
Man, if they have it there, I'll get it. Cover price $3.95. I
It's,
save 4 cents.
it's 1938 and time to meet our hero, Captain Lancet. He's a golden age all-American crime buster who's about to accidentally create the world's greatest villain. He'll need to adjust to a strange new world, one that resembles Fritz Lang's Metropolis, with some cyberpunk dystopia sprinkled in. If he wants to if he wants to overthrow the totalitarian vampire cult that now dominates the world. Hmm, sounds interesting.
Never heard of Benjamin Morris, but he does the cover art, the interior art, and the writing.
Um, yeah, the covers all look interesting.
The 1930s, yeah.
This is a book I'd have to pre-order though because this would not even make it to the shelves of my store.
I honestly I don't think it will there. I've never seen me read 5 books.
Undead says AWA has good stuff. Yeah, most of their stuff is pretty good, but they've really lost my interest lately. Like the stuff that they do, it just seems so like I could care less. Like that black tape cover, I'm just trying to find it again. This is so boring. Like, why would I want to buy this if I saw this on the shelf? I wouldn't even want to pick this up. It's
It's a cover by Dan Panosian.
uh,
Panosian?
Dan Panosian. Yeah, I like Dan Panosian's art. Nothing against him typically, but I don't know. Maybe there's previous covers. This is issue 4. Okay, that's a better cover. That's a better cover.
That was the original cover I came across. Yeah, I was like, "What the heck is this?"
Yeah. So the first three covers are good. I would have avoided this because this just looks demonic. Like I'm not interested
Yeah.
in. But okay, so it's just the third cover is, or sorry, the fourth cover is just bad. So, but I guess if you're a Damp and Ocean fan, you're gonna buy it on the name. I think he's a
I
talented
well,
creator.
I'm curious to see what the interior art, but he was not the interior artist though. He just does the writing and the cover art. They get someone else to do the interior art. Gilbert Talajic. I was like, what the heck is that?
Oh yeah,
That's kind of what turned me off. I was like, wait, he's writing, but why isn't he doing the interior art? Like he does like cover arts for like but I want
because
to like, can you
interior
not do?
art is time consuming. That's why you could sell a
Yeah,
book and have someone else do the art for you. Um, yeah, writing is so much faster. Look for North Valley Grimoire by North Blakecott. Blake, you mean Blake Northcott? I was like, who's North Blakecott? Um, at the end of the month. Um, I am not a big Blake Northcott fan. Are you?
I liked her when she worked on that issue of was it Batman with Sean Gordon Murphy? Whatever the one they
Um,
had
yeah, I think
was
that
it.
she wrote them and he did the covers or something.
It
Or
was
I
like no, it was Catwoman. Catwoman. That's what it was.
Catwoman, yeah.
It was Ram V, and I was writing it, and you had Sean Gordon Murphy and Blake Northcott like were doing. I can't remember if they wrote. She wrote it or she did. She's not
She
an
did. She
artist, so
wrote
she
them.
must have.
Yeah.
It was such a weird thing. It was a Catwoman story with in it might have been an annual, but yeah, the drumsticks at jail. I'm like, oh, I want chicken now. Drumsticks.
I know that's what I was thinking when I first heard that too. Yeah, it was all like I was like, oh, cool. Like I like comics that are all metal, but like it says "Hail to Satan" on the cover, and I'm like, oh, okay, moving on. Um, all right, I
Battle
think
Cats.
that's.
Anybody reading that? Mad Kib Studios Legacy Battle Cats. I keep seeing that, but I don't know anybody who's reading it.
I have not heard anyone reading it. I think that pretty much covers
Yeah,
everything. You'll be
yeah.
talking tomorrow night, or
Well, later tonight.
no, not later tonight.
It's the morning for me. It's almost 2 a.m.
It's still night though.
It's morning. It's at
Undead says you
nighttime.
lost me at cyberpunk. No, I didn't say cyberpunk. It's cyber pulp. Cyber pulp. So it's like pulp
It's
noir.
like orange shoe. It's like orange shoes with cybernetics. It's very
Oh
pulpy.
man, how do these like indie books that I'm looking at here? How do these even sell? Like it's a
Well, the not even nice is actually what I've been holding on. I've that's a Kickstarter book, and we paid for the book's been printed out stuff. They says now they're just waiting for like permission from the licensor,
well,
Dynamite.
that's Dynamite. I mean, Dynamite's a
Yeah,
reasonably sized indie publisher, but I'm talking about these like I guess I
Drexler.
should scroll down a little bit lower where you got here this like
That's Scout Comics. Like I said, Scout Comics. You gotta like
mullet cop. You're like, what the hell? It just I don't know. It's just amazing what these
How is Captain Canuck still going?
oh people love their Captain Canuck, man.
The Canadians, we had to buy it. It's your only Canadian comic.
Oh, but look at this. Captain Canuck doesn't look like a bad comic. Look at that cover.
He looks like you know what he looks like? Hawk from Hawk and Dove.
Yeah, but look at the art. I mean, that's good illustration there. That's
So I'm
like
wondering,
better
is
than
that
most Marvel DC books.
I want to know, are they drawing Hawk and Dove? Because it looks like Dove over there on the right.
Yeah, it's there's some similarities for sure.
Hey, good corner for Captain Nick and Quebec. He's Quebec. Uh, he's teamed up with the character who
Captain
is
Canuck has
Quebec.
been around for a long time too.
I know, but
I kind of want to check it out because I want to know what all the deal is about this book. You know, it's obviously has its fandom
it's
for a reason.
it's like the only thing that make it even sweeter if we saw Rob Liefeld working on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's basically then you know it's a Hawk and Dove ripoff.
There's just so many comic books. Like it's amazing
Common
how
Rider 01 is another one I'm reading too.
it's
And
amazing
there's
like
a
how bad the industry is right now, and yet so many comic books on the shelves.
yeah. Now that I've watched the actual show on Tubi, I understand more of it. So the comic book has become more clear to me. I have more information. But without watching the show, you really have no idea what's going on. You're just kind of thrown into the middle of it. The show gives you a better explanation,
Mm.
which sucks for Titan, man, because I'm like, guys got to do better.
You do, yeah. You got, and it sounds like they're relying on only getting people who watch the show to buy the books.
Exactly.
So
Uh, is that Exo Manowar from Valiant? Like Valiant still has books coming up. I did not know that.
it's yeah, unbelievable. This this company used to be so good. Becky
Becky Cloonan is writing
Cloonan.
it.
From 2012 to 2017, Valiant was the best publisher in comics. You could pick up any Valiant book and they were not just good, but like really good. And then they sold to um, they sold to a Chinese company, and they just went downhill real quick. Hired Heather Antos, um,
They should just have TikTok comics.
right? Um,
Right?
Probably sell better, but
We work, we work for China.
well, they're spending some money to get Liam Sharp to do the covers on the book. Some
Or he's ready for money that bad. He's taking a pay cut.
no, I don't think so. Liam Sharp was. I'm sure he's
The
getting
other guy,
good.
that other guy, Jay Lee, is taking all my money.
Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad. Once upon a time, Exo Manowar. So they rebooted Exo Manowar in 2012 to launch the new Valiant universe with Robert Venditti doing the art. And then the second series, or not the art, the writing. And the second series, they got Matt Kent to do the writing. And I forget the name of the artist, man. That it's one of the best looking
Like,
comics I've ever seen.
what
That
if
Exo
Thor became Iron Man?
that Exo series, like that's one of the series that got me like back into comics. Unbelievable how good that series was. And now the mighty have fallen. And you're right, yeah, they have like one or two books. Like I don't know what the hell Valiant's doing.
I keep forgetting that Image is like 30 years old. They started in 1993.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. Well, look at Batman animated series. That's 31 years old.
What's
That was
crazy to me
seven.
is when I got into comics, I got into comics the very month that Marvel was celebrating their 25th anniversary. And back then, I was like, oh man, there's like comics that are like 25 years old. Like that just seemed like so old. And now Image
Well,
is older than Marvel was at that time. Like, because I remember when
yeah,
Image came out. Um,
I was 7 years old in 1982.
it's just so weird to me. So, all right, I'm just beating dead horses now. Um, I think
Damn horses needed it.
I'm just like looking at comics, like, oh, look at all these comics I'm not gonna buy. So, I will. Not sure if I'll be able to be attend your show tomorrow, but if anyone's listening, watch the Geeky Puppet Show. Is
Uh,
Zach still part of your show?
he is, but
Okay.
he will be gone following week though. I'll be flying solo on the 30th next week.
Hmm.
So if you want to join,
All
welcome to
right.
it.
I'll see what I
If you
can
have
do.
books.
These are my 4 books that I'll be getting this week.
Otherwise, I'll ask Brain. Brain's been getting a lot of books.
And this is pretty much the order of my enthusiasm for them. So we got Ambassadors, Nightclub, TMNT, Usagi, and then Vanish number 7. So,
I would
I'm.
only switch those around, having Nightclub be first, then Ambassadors, then
Oh,
Usagi.
you're liking Nightclub even better than Ambassadors, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. Very cool.
No.
I mean, obviously, I like all these books because I'm paying money for them, so it's not like any of them are bad.
But
But I
but
do,
it's
even though
it's
Last Ambassadors was a little iffy for me, I am still liking it overall more than Nightclub. But I do
uh,
like Nightclub a lot, and the Buck
uh
99. Holy cow!
yeah, and it's only got one more issue after this.
Which one? Both of them,
Nightclub.
right? Ambassadors only one more issue too.
Well, but Ambassadors could be the last issue, and wouldn't be as sad as much as I would be for Nightclub. Nightclub, I've been enjoying a lot.
Yeah.
Nightclub says you can, it's cheaper and it's at $9. It's on a night, and it shows you can take young characters, write them good, have a good compelling story, and not make them like baby characters. Like like they write he writes them as they would be a kid.
Well,
And that's what I like about.
the good news is you'll get to see him potentially more in big game.
Ooh, someone's getting Rocketeer.
Oh yeah. In case you guys don't know, in 2 weeks, new Rocketeer.
Yeah,
But
Brain said he's not
it's
getting that.
not it's not just he's gonna get it.
He says he's not getting it because it's by the same writer who did the last one, who had the girl, lesbian girl, show up, the main hero. So,
It's by Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo who did the
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
They wrote the movie, and let me just take a look who the interior artist is. Adam Hughes. So
Is he doing the interior or just doing the covers?
fir- first,
Craig Cermak, Jay Lee, and yeah.
first, the writers of the Rocketeer film, Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo, and illustrator Adam Hughes bring us a tale featuring pioneering aviator Amelia Earhart, who I'm actually related to, by the way. So I gotta pick this up. I'm a Rocketeer fan. Amelia Earhart's actually my second cousin, and Adam Hughes is one of my favorite artists. So seems like a no-brainer to me. Seems like this is gonna be an anthology book though. So the guy that Eric is hating is probably writing one of the other stories.
Or you assumed it was this one. Well,
Let's see.
regardless, I hope it turns out to be good. I really didn't mind the last one.
I didn't read the
Yeah,
last one.
is he right? You shouldn't. There was no such thing as lesbians back in the 30s. It's like, well, there probably was. They just didn't come out in the closet. There's always been gay people in history. But
Yep. And then look at this. We got Void Rivals is coming. I'll be jumping on this bandwagon because it's Robert Kirkman. Hopefully, it's something cool. Um, and
never
Night
even heard of it.
Fever, which is a new Ed Brubaker book. So I'm very excited to see Ed Brubaker doing something different. As much as I do love the Reckless series, um, I'm very curious to jump on something new and different. I don't get that cover. What else coming down the pipeline? That's it.
Firepower and Nightclub. Oh my gosh, Fire
Oh,
returns and
Firepower's
Nightclub
coming
ends.
back. Yeah. Yes. I look forward to
Yeah, wait another
Firepower.
month. Yeah, wait 2 months. Oh, newborn number 10. Nice.
Yeah. I, the the site still thinks I subscribe to it, which I don't. All right,
Maybe you have an
kids.
alternate
Well,
cover.
we're gonna close this shop down. It's before midnight, unbelievably. Any final thoughts, words you want to say?
Uh, Check us out on Geeky Pup Show at 8 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, man. If we talk about comic books, you like comic books. Uh,
You're talking about the
you
new
know,
upcoming. Specifically
all the new
like what
stuff.
you're
Yeah,
anticipating.
yep. Anticipating for tomorrow, and then Thursday will be the aftermath to find out. Well, were the same books I thought would be the best books of the week. You know, are they? We don't know. Because I'll be getting other books too. They're on my pull list. They're not making it to my top five. And then I'll possibly do an unboxing because I just finally get all my books I got in from the auction over at I Love Comics, which is usually 8 p.m. Eastern Saturday nights.
Very nice. Very
Yeah,
nice.
I got a whole short box came in the mail today.
Wow. All right, cool. Well, kids, we're out of here. Thanks for joining us if you made it this late. Thanks for everyone who posted in the comments, or in the chat, I should say.
Like this video, leave a
Your guys' chat really is one of the reasons I love doing the show. RDV is the second reason. And so, yeah, thank you for being here. I hope you guys are reading good comics. Hopefully, we inspired you or encouraged you to try something new that might become your new favorite comic. Who knows? Thanks for any recommendations you guys have. If you're listening to this afterwards, throw something in the comment section. By all means, I love hearing what other people are reading, what to check out.
the,
Even
sh-
if we don't like the same things, you
the
never
show
know.
proved that you watched the show proved that you watched it all the way through the end. The code word is purple.
Go word is purple. Nice. I gotta just say, most of my favorite books are books that I didn't think I wanted to read, and someone recommended, and then I ended up trying them out. Um, so, please keep the suggestions coming, and we'll see you here next week, and if not sooner, on the Geeky Pup Show tomorrow. Take care, kids.